A town in Shanxi was quiet, but no one expected the day would come when it would be conquered by monsters. The guy who was alone and fighting against everyone, saw the last monster, and was numbed by the sight of it. At that moment he wondered if these were his last moments before his death. And then he didn't realize where he was. A moment from watching, he felt drops of blood that served on his white shirt. And then the demon used its heroic soul attack. As a result, the guy was hit by a ray of magic. At this time, in another world where there is silence and harmony, a girl was holding her stomach and saying that she had drunk too much tea and now she couldn't take it anymore. Looking around the site, she thought she had no choice but to fix her need in an inappropriate place. In the process, a portal opened up near her place of need, and out popped a guy unfamiliar to her. The boy clutched his head and didn't understand where he'd been transported. At that moment, the girl stood behind him and tried not to make a sound. The boy thought, didn't he die at that moment? Many years ago, when humanity was at the peak of its technological development, countless armies of ancient monsters rose from their graves. They massacred people everywhere. Eastern cultivators and Western magicians who had been forced into hiding for thousands of years now began to return again one by one. All countries suddenly realized the importance of immortals, so they began to make special policies to support them. And as a result, a new doctrine called cultivation emerged in the universities. However, these people did not rally together to fight against the evil, but only showed their greedy natures. Only the 7 great nations still continued to fight over cultivation resources like this, and then a brutal war broke out. At that time, he was an ordinary student from a poor family, with no education or cultivation skills. But during the massacre, he managed to find a powerful treasure called the Hall of Heroic Souls. The great warriors of the present and past became servants of the heroic Hall of Souls. But because of its power, the main forces were in fear. They ended up ambushing him during his battle with the monsters. In order to protect his celestial mentor, he went up against them alone. The guy was speaking to the strongest warriors existing simultaneously in 3 worlds, about whom legends have been written throughout history. In the name of the last emperor of mankind, he calls out to them. May they appear in this world once more and hear his call. Protect the human race. The boy said he was a great creation of the 12 gods, which he eventually became himself. And may he rise again, Pangu. And as a result, they all along with Pangu, summoned by the sorcery of 12 ancient demons, were wiped out. There's absolutely nothing left of the world. That's right. Then he really is dead. But, then, what's happening right now? When he saw the building, the guy recognized it and said that it was the Tianchuan Cultivation Academy. It had already been destroyed by demons in the past, and at that time, only he was able to escape. Looking at the smartwatch, he realized that he had gone back in time to when he was young and he was 18 years old. But then he heard a rustle and turned back sharply, where he saw a girl fixing her need. The guy shouted to her and asked, "Is she peeing there?" The girl at that moment blushed and started screaming. A group of kids immediately set off at the call of the voice, and on the way they thought she was in trouble. And we must find her soon. The girl grabbed the guy and dragged him behind a tree. She told him that if he made a peep, she would bury him right away. She realized that if anyone caught them, her reputation would be ruined. She would no longer be taken for a leader. When he heard about her, he realized that she was the most outstanding student at the academy. Senior Jiang Yu. The guys arrived on the scene screaming while investigating and found nothing. So they decided to look somewhere else. Jiang asked the guy, what was he trying to say there? The guy looked at her and remembered to pull up her panties first. At this point, the guy was saying that he had smoked a whole pack of cigarettes already and still didn't understand what had gotten him so guilty. Jiang asked the guy, he studies here too, right? And what's his name? The guy with the swollen cheek said his name was Zhang Qing, a freshman in humanities. But because his academic performance is very poor and his parents are poor, he has no opportunity to attend cultivation classes. Jiang said that means he has a completely different faculty. Does he even know who she is? Zhang said of course, her name is Jiang Yu. The president of the disciplinary committee, and also the strongest female student in the entire university. Jiang got angry and said that she would ask him again if he knew who she was. Jiang raised his hands and said he had no idea. He has no idea at all. Leaving, Jiang said that she would assume that he had caught on. If he tries to blab, he'll be a corpse right away. And then the guys saw her, and they said she'd been here all along. And then they blushed at what they saw. The girl asked Jiang, is this really her future man? She can't believe that they're doing obscenities even in places like this. Jiang said it's not what they think it is. The girls told her not to worry at all, they are grave. Just then, Jiang lost her temper, and with a flash of lightning, she asked, aren't they sick of laughing here yet? Immediately, she released a lightning bolt straight into the ground. Jiang now saw that such was the strength of one of the top disciples in the academy. This is very impressive. At this time, the news was reporting that hordes of monsters had invaded the neighboring city yesterday, wreaking havoc. More than 100 cultivators and 10 million citizens were killed in one night. And now they are hoping for every student in all universities so that they can later join the army and defend their homeland. Zhang went to class like a normal student, and then he was jammed in, and with a thump on the desk, he said he was back. And now he's gonna do it. He will save everyone. He won't let the Dongluan Empire fall into oblivion this time. Coming to his senses, he saw a bunch of stares directed at him. Immediately laughter erupted throughout the class. Gao Hao's boyfriend, a 5th stage cultivator, said that this was quite expected from the biggest idiot in the group. If he was just sleeping, he'd be mumbling nonsense in his sleep. Chen Yuan also looked at him and said, their country is one of the 6 great countries in the world, no one would risk attacking it. And why would she need the help of some idiot? Gao crossed his eyes with Zhang and asked him, why is he making a serious face? He's acting like a weirdo today. Does Zhang really want to make peace with his 5th foot aura with his commoner? Chen said he's just a simpleton with a tough guy attitude. It's pathetic to look at him. Zhang knew that these disciples, originally born with a silver spoon in their mouths, had always looked down on him richly. Relying on strength, power and money, they always tried to intimidate him during his training here. But on the battlefield, when the demons showed up, they were mere ants about to be trampled. The teacher also got angry and told Zhang if he wasn't going to listen to the explanation of the material, he could leave. Zhang humbled himself and apologized to his teacher. He couldn't believe that he could seriously be pissed off by some bunch of scum. Looks like he lost more than just skills with the rebirth. And then the girl next to her turned to him. Zhang looked at her and realized that it was Chen Ning. He didn't understand how he hadn't noticed her before, that he was in love with her. Ning said Zhang was really sweating. Did he have a nightmare? Zhang lowered his head and said, you could say that. Ning said that he had the audacity to sleep through Evil Shue's lectures, then maybe in the dream she was also. Zhang said that whenever he fell asleep, her beautiful face was everywhere. Ning got embarrassed and said why he said it so suddenly. Zhang remembered and thought that if only he had time to save. If he had even a small chance to become a cultivator and make things right, he would have died for it without a second thought. A month ago, a low-ranked demon suddenly appeared in the school and started ruining everything around them. Although the cultivators from Tian City managed to deal with it, Chen Ning and thousands of students died that day. From that day on, his life completely changed. Zhang said that he would definitely protect her this time. Ning said that she is at the 8th stage of development and is one of the top 100 students in the immortal ranking. If Zhang wants to become her protector, he'll have to work very hard. And work hard. Zhang thought that with his rebirth, he had lost all knowledge beyond this era. But it was only a matter of time before they returned. Zhang felt that one of the students was watching him right now. And turning around, he saw Gao Hao. Gao was telling his guys that this brat was getting a little too cocky today. The guy told him that the whole neighborhood knows that Gao's brother likes Ning. Gao said that whoever made him embarrass himself in front of her, he would personally give a reward of 100,000. Cheng heard this and said she was in. She's going to do everything now. She started yelling that jerk Zhang had stolen her money. Cheng apologized to himself and said that with this 100,000, he could go to the cultivation faculty and become the best. At this moment, all the guys turned back, and looked at Zhang. While Zhang didn't say anything, and was angry with all of them, the teacher asked Zhang, is it true? Gao blurted out yes and said her money was in his bag. He was a witness. Zhang thought and was sure that they had managed to switch his backpack. If they searched it now, it was likely that the money would indeed be there. The guys started saying nasty things towards Zhao, and humiliated his dignity. Zhang just stared at them and absorbed them. Zhang had just now decided to wonder why Gao, Chen and the others never gave him a pass. Was it out of jealousy? Could it be his fault as well? What was the reason why those around him called him Idiot Zhang instead of his full name? Let the young master play with them to his heart's content in this life. Chen said, "Jerk Zhang, stop making excuses." Gao and the others saw it with their own eyes. The teacher got angry too and told him to stop pretending and show her the bag. And gave her the stolen goods. Ning couldn't take it, and hit the table hard. She said they were overreacting. She has grown up with him since she was a little girl, and she can only speak positively of him with confidence. The guy also stood up and said, "Didn't the others see Gao and the others constantly prying at Chen? Is it possible to believe their words?" Chen said that their academy is truly merciful, she even has the pity to socialize with such a scum. Chen told Ning not to let herself be fooled. He is 10,000 times worse than she can imagine. Gao tells Ning that he knows her parents took him under their wing and gave him shelter. But does she know what Zhang is really like? Ning asked them what they were getting at. Cheng said that just in addition to the money, her worn-out panties were also missing. Gao and the others caught him. The guys started saying that he disgusted them. And how can they be around such a horrible person? He needs to be expelled as a matter of urgency. They can't sit with a pervert in the same classroom. Ning told Chen that Zhang is completely different. Chen said that if he is that decent, then let her check his bag. Chen slapped the table and asked Zhang, "He doesn't mind checking, right?" He also advises Ning, "Don't get close to him. I don't know what kind of lustful thoughts he's got in his head. But of course, if it's okay, she'll just shut up." Ning told Chen, "What's wrong with her? She and Zhang are just friends. It can't be any other way." Ning said since they had decided to let all the dogs down on him, let Zhang open the bag and end this ill-fated accusation. Zhang realized that she was being too naive as usual. He realized that since their gang was acting so openly and aggressively in front of the teacher, everyone there was clearly already prepared. But if he let them rummage through his bag, wouldn't he still be a loser, Zhang thought? In that case, he would have to teach them a lesson. Although he had lost his skills after being reborn, the Hall of Souls had returned with him. The Hall of Heroic Souls was purified by Ancestor Tao, who united the history and myths of the three ancient kingdoms and their days. It was created for the sake of protecting the legacy of civilization. According to legend, a person wielding it can move through time and space, summoning heroes of the past and present to acquire their knowledge and powers. There is the greatest bow and arrow god Hao, the nine-tailed fox demoness De Ji, the descendant Dian Ming, and the birth goddess San. And they are all his servants. By gathering the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, and letting it flow through one's own soul, the Hall of Heroic Souls can open up in this world as well. He taps into the emotions of people's hearts to summon the greatest from around the world. Due to the full scale of souls in the heroic pillar, a warrior or other with similar feelings can manifest in his world. Brave heroes, if any of them share a similar remorseful aversion, as he does now. He asks, heed his call and come here to rewrite a terrible fate. His cultivation level is too low right now, so he can't summon them in reality. And he's only allowed to use first-stage abilities. Zhang saw that the Pillar of Repentant Souls was now full. For the sake of protecting all things, he had caused a close friend to die tragically, and he wishes all three kingdoms to crumble under the weight of his wrath. Zhang said that only 6 of the 7 stars were now lit. The Pillar of Souls will continue to absorb the world's obsessions and thoughts, opening up new places for warriors in the Hall of Heroic Souls, making it even more powerful. Zhang said that the 6th-level God Soul had only appeared once when a Buddha was summoned. Then it is most likely Zhen Yuan, the majestic god of the under heaven and ancestor of the earthly immortals. And then Zhang was surprised to see the first quasi-saint level spirit. A sphere appeared in front of him. Zhen Yuan, one of the followers of Taoism, wielding one of the coolest magic sleeve techniques. He's even better than Hong. All that's left is to learn how to use him perfectly, Zhen said that an inexperienced child who didn't even have enough knowledge to materialize a heroic soul could summon a deity? Zhang said, what if his wisdom is within? Even the supreme beings of the three realms are bound to obey him. Zhen said that this was very high arrogance. He had comprehended all the secrets of Taoism and dominated the immortals of the earth. Zhang said that he should call the Ji then. Immediately, Gao got angry and told everyone to disperse. Gao opened his bag and said that no matter how much you beat his stupid head, it still doesn't get where he belongs. Even in the open, he's trying to steal Ning away from him. But this time, he will make him always walk with his head down. Zhang asked him, really? Zhang told the celestial Zhen to lend him his power. Zhen said he wants to use it to collect women's pantaloons. Zhang said in modern times they are properly called tersas. Zhang used the first style of magic sleeve, swaying flowers and connecting trees. Gao picked up the bag and told everyone to watch. Now everyone will know the truth about the pervert Zhang. And to the professor, he suggests that he be expelled. And then both girls were surprised, but Ning was glad. The teacher told Gao to take a closer look. There's nothing there. Gao stopped and asked how so? After all, they were there, how was that even possible? He had definitely seen the evidence inside. The teacher said stop making noise and for everyone to go back to their seats. Gao bowed his head and went to his seat. Zhang stopped him and said to Gao, who gave him permission to leave. Gao asked, a dick orphan would talk to him like that? Gao saw Zhang's face and thought he had eaten something wrong today. What's this strange behavior? The preceptor said to Zhang, let us reason sensibly. Gao was only concerned about a fellow student and did it in good faith. Zhang said the teacher was still young, but her eyes must be a problem. Did she ask him what he was talking about? Zhang said that Gao stole those things himself, and decided to blame it on him. Is that virtue? Gao said Zhang wants to call him a thief. Gao said his stipend was over 10,000, why would he steal someone else's money? Zhang said he shouldn't worry, they already know about his financial well-being. And patting Gao on the shoulder, all the money, and the girl's underwear started to fall out of his pockets. Immediately, everyone gathered and were surprised at what they saw. Walzhen considered himself defiled. And wondered how he could wash himself clean of it now. Gao was surprised, and asked, what the hell is going on? How did he get all this stuff? The guy said, what is quite expected from their pseudo-great master Gao. If he wants they can both go to the store, why steal someone else's? The guys started saying that they never thought Gao would do such a thing. What a scumbag he is. The guy said that none of them had any idea that he had such a hobby. I bet many of them were uncomfortable watching Qing Chen being bullied. Just then, Zhang Mei, a humanities student, pounced on him and told him to answer where his laundry had gone. And then Gao couldn't take it anymore and punched the woman right in the jaw. He told her to back off and called her a filthy cow. She should have looked at herself in the mirror first. The teacher asked Gao, has he lost his mind? Student cultivators are forbidden to use magic in normal teachings. He decided to go against the rules of the academy. Gao lost his temper and said that he was the law here. And then he attacked Zhang and told him to die. Zhang told brother Zhen to lend him his strength this time. It seemed like the situation had escalated. Zhen said that if they joined forces, they would show these weaklings where the crayfish were. Since he has a mortal body that doesn't have a normal flow of energy, he would absorb the entire chi of the audience with his magic sleeve to turn it in his favor. Just then, Ning told him not to dare and used a wind-blowing attack. The girl Chen Ning is an 8th stage cultivator, the second best student among the first-year students, standing N7A 52 rank in the academy. And in the moment, she released the pen into the fight, and used the wind to stab it into Gao's arm, ending up making him more angry. Zhang, seeing what Ning did, was surprised, for she had always been meek and shy. This was the first time she had shown her character. Zhang said, and then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy a performance by young Master Gao. It's called the Stinky Mouth. Zhang said that this slap was for all the girls he stole panties from. And immediately slapped Gao. Zhang didn't stop and used a magic arm, swaying flowers and connecting trees. Gao became very sick, and the moment he magicked Zhang, he began to spit out the woman's underwear from his mouth. The woman saw his underwear and said it was them. She asked him why he had put them in his mouth. At this time, Jin cried and thought that they were fighting. But how did his technique gather more pantaloons? And then the teacher also got angry and told everyone to shut up. Whoever continues to be disobedient will have broken arms. And next, he would be referred to the disciplinary committee for punishment. And then Gao got scared and didn't want to go there. Gao raised his hands and said that it wasn't him. Let all the guys just believe him. Surely Zhang must have set it all up to make him look guilty. Zhang said that he was the only one here spinning his wheels trying to justify himself. Did he think he could keep fooling the others? Zhang walked over to him and told the Gao that it looked like today was not his day. By the way, recalling the words of their great master said earlier, how can such a shameless thief be allowed to lecture? He suggests to the teacher that she expel him immediately. Gao said to Chen, she doesn't want to explain herself. I mean, they put both money and underwear in his bag together. Hurry up and confirm his innocence. Chen couldn't stand it and said to Gao, stop lying already. He was the one who offered her 100,000 yuan to lie to Zhang. And the only reason he was going to expel him was because he was hitting on his beloved Ning. Why would he involve her in his dirty business? He's the only one with such lousy ideas. The guys asked them, did they deliberately come up with a plan to make Zhang a social pariah? Didn't everyone hear that? The couple burned themselves. Zhang said, I doubt he is worth that amount, and what is one pretty girl in their group? Ning slapped him and called him a flatterer. Ning thought, has old Qing Chen always been a bully? And then she said, they have joked and that's enough. Zhang asked her, what do you mean? Zhang thought that since things are picking up, let's make it even cooler. He hugged Nyang and said that he would follow her around from today. Zhang realized that in his past life, Chen Ning's death was his fault because of his weakness. Then a monster from an ancient tribe invaded the academy grounds without any warning, and although it was low-ranked, the students were unable to stop it. Everyone was yelling for them not to stay there and run away. The teachers would come and deal with them. Everyone was looking for each other, but they couldn't find each other. And then the demon released all its power, and began to destroy everything, and each student was killed one by one. Zhang ran towards the demon, but he suddenly stopped when he saw Ning. She was torn to pieces. Zhang couldn't help himself and let a tear fall. These nightmares were the only thing he still remembered about his past besides the Hall of Heroic Souls. In his new life, he would definitely end it once and for all, rewriting the fate of Ning and the others. And of course, this also applied to the obstacles hindering the growth of his cultivation. He would try his best to fix all of this. The teacher saw something and asked Zhang, where did he put his hands? Dare to molest a girl in class? Zhang said that there was nothing wrong with it. Would something like this be considered harassment? Gao said to Ning, if he is holding her forcibly, let her wink. The lecturer told Ning not to be afraid to tell the truth. On behalf of all the lecturers, she swears to personally provide her full protection. Ning thought about it and blushed, but she said it was fine. Zhang realized that this would serve as a good cover for his relationship with her. And then one of Gao's friends stood up for him, but Gao slapped his hand and told him to shut up. Gao said that Zhang deliberately decided to play the situation in his favor, right? Good, that's a very good move. So far, not a single living soul in the academy has tried to stand in his way yet. Now Zhang will have to hide behind Ning's skirt forever. He promises he'll never set foot here again, you pathetic coward. Zhang and Ning smiled and he said so be it. Just don't get angry too much or you'll get wrinkles. The man was choking one guy that night and saying Ning was a waste of time. Did she really hurt him that badly? It was Lu Bao, the vice president of the Ancient Martial Arts Society. Martial Power Value 9, rank 50 on the list of cultivation students. He had to stay back for a second year because of his bad behavior. Gao pulled out a briefcase and said he would give him 500,000 if he killed Zhang and caught him. Lu said to Gao, he must be joking. He's just an ordinary student, not a hitman. Especially, she fell in love with him a long time ago and still remains a kind and sweet goddess in his heart. And that's why we'll have to offer more money. Gao didn't bother and told him to offer. Lu says 800,000 and the kid's gone. And he guarantees that Chen Ning will jump into bed with him the very next day. But the first part of the night is with her Gao, and on the second day he will give her to him. At this time, Zhang lay in the park and said that this world is both ugly and beautiful at the same time. Zhen told Zhao that he behaved too recklessly and impulsively. That guy has a very hot temper. He will definitely try everything to take revenge. Zhao said that his behavior has gotten to a lot of people, so why not be an asshole and make fun of him now? Zhen said that according to the preachings of Taoism, avoid the 3 calamities and 9 misfortunes, the same skirmish and take are also included here. He is not yet strong enough for such strong opponents. Zhang said that he had destroyed him before. His act protected a lot of other kids he was bullying. Zhang said that he might sound childish now, but he's definitely going to be dead soon. Zhen said he remembered a monkey named Sun. He was as brave as Zhuang. Then he seized him and bound him in his temple at Zhuang's, where he was tortured with the sacred whip for 3 days and 3 nights. Zhang smiled in surprise and said that he was already imagining this leather whip. Zhen asked how dare he think of such shamelessness, but then Zhang realized that Zhen was right. After being reborn, he had lost his magical abilities. His current body was now very weak. Zhen said that to be honest, he could safely say that his teacher's cultivation level was not particularly high. Zhang asked, does Zhen think it will take him a month to hold superiority over this puny chicken? Zhang thought that that asshole's strength value was only 5, while the monster that would invade the academy had a value of over 2,000. When he appears, no one will be able to survive, it will be too late. Zhen asked the guy, does he think he can become the reincarnation of the golden immortal Deluo? Zhang won't be able to defeat them without his help. But if he listens to him and trains hard for 5 years, he will definitely become better than him. The strength of each stage, Zhang said, has a significant gap between each other. If he could reach the phase of complete perfection, he would be able to soar into the heavens. Zhen said, the guy would regret it later. He had only managed to learn the technique of the Heaven and Earth Unified Chi Sutra with the help of fragments of writings. Zhang said that the stars travel in the sky 365 days a year. Let him reveal to him the art of primordial chaos. Zhen saw that this child was not absorbing spiritual energy, but in the name of the Lord of Heaven and Earth, he was forcing it into submission. Such a thing can only be achieved through primordial chaos. How did the treatises of Great Father Hong end up in the hands of an ordinary young man? Zhang said that the first stage of foundation creation is complete. Zhen said that in just 10 minutes, some boy managed to pass the first stage, but even if it can do something, it can't do much with the body of a mortal. Apparently, forcibly controlling the aura of the academy, it had reached its limit. Zhang said that he would then proceed more seriously next. And then he immediately proceeded to continue. Seeing such strength and power, Zhen asked the guy, is he even human? Immediately, the guys also stopped at what they saw. Zhang said a little more. He asks, lend him a little more of his divine power. Zhen said, he's a bloody rascal, #1 in the whole world. Zhang rose into the air, and shouted to the magic arm second style. Mountain and river energy, give him lots of strength. But at this moment, the hurricane started to take over the square more, he Zhang's magic. The guy shouted to the girl to get out of there. God has appeared to mankind. And then the guy said that he forgot a little bit, because he doesn't have a girlfriend. Ning thought, that hurricane silhouette, why does it seem very familiar to her? The teacher immediately saw that this was the skill of heaven and earth. Could it be that an outstanding talent has descended to them? Could it be a student from the academy? She said the disciplinary committee, head to the school grounds immediately. They will definitely find out who wields such power. The hurricane could be seen from the other end of the city and the girl said that it was towards Tianchuan City. Had there ever been a cultivation genius in her Dong Empire? An hour later, Zhang was all floating in the sky. And Zhen said that these were all the initial levels. Had he actually managed to break through this far? Landing on the ground, Zhang decided to try out his strength, and with a wave of his hand, he shattered the stone into pieces. He said that having purified the essence, renewed and rebuilt the muscles and marrow, the palm of his hand was now enough to break rocks and split gold. It's a sign of successful anchoring in the foundation stage. How cool it is to have your strength again. Just then, Jun walked over and told Zhang that he was wondering what was that strange object on his wrist. Zhang said that this Ning gave this one as a gift. A progress watch that was only given to students from the Cultivation Development Department. Since his strength was now 9, dealing with Gao would be a cakewalk. However, when facing the real geniuses of the Academy, these points would not be enough. And regarding the Hall of Souls, from the moment the GA incident happened in the auditorium, he continued to absorb people's desires and feelings. Once the scale of the pillar is filled with the obsessive thoughts of the world around him, one of the immortals who is obsessed with such ideas is randomly summoned to Earth. With this, he can get significant new boosts to his current skill. Jun said, leaving, the Hall of Heroic Souls was originally a sacred relic that encapsulated all the myths and legends of the past and present aligned with the laws of the heavens. An illusion created by an artifact based on my story. He was only able to summon it because of the remorse used as a possession. Zhang said that as Jun, for example, responded to his remorse, feels the same, and decided to come. Perhaps the reason for the call of the saints. Just then, Zhang saw that Professor Shui had come up with the disciplinary committee. She asked, how could those terrifying chi fluctuations suddenly dissolve into thin air? Ning told them to search the grounds. They shouldn't lose such an incredible talent. Zhang said that fortunately, the primordial chaos technique could hide a person's energy and allow them to further disguise themselves as immortal. Walking home, Jun told Zhang that there was a truly sinister aura emanating from his teacher. Zhang said that she is the dean of the cultivation direction in the academy nicknamed Devulous. All the other teachers are her younger sisters and brothers. Jun realized that something was clearly wrong here. The woman's fury seemed to be the death of at least 1,000 lives. It was unlikely that a mere teacher could have that kind of energy. Zhang said that at the age of 6, he was bullied a lot by other orphans. After running away and wandering for a long time, he almost died of exhaustion, but Ning found him and decided to take him to her home. They ended up becoming a big friendly family. Even though they don't have much money, he's glad he got in with them. Zhen said he could feel a very strong flow of qi near the door to his house. Zhang said, what is the head of the disciplinary committee, Jiang Yu? Did she really find out about his advancement in perfection? Zhen said for him to listen carefully, they are talking about him. Secret style, sensitive hearing, Shun Feng. Jiang asked, what is Zhang Qin good at? Does she think he's better than her? Ning told her to calm down. Jiang said that Ning accepted his confession today on purpose in front of the group so she would cut him loose. Ning said, no, of course not. Jiang said, has sex now become more important to her than true love? Ning said that nothing can happen between them. Ning said that she was the representative of the disciplinary committee, and if details suddenly came out, there would be a dirty stain on her reputation forever. And then the guys were surprised. Zhen said, is this really the passionate lily love from the legend? Zhang said, his list of competitors has now been further expanded by Jiang Yu. Ning tells her that she has a boyfriend now, so promise to behave with restraint and appropriateness in the future. Zhen said they look very beautiful together, I guess they are expecting a new addition to their family soon. Zhang said, so he spat, and be a little more lenient with old Zhang. Zhang went into his room and said that everything was the same as in his memory. This is the table he and his dad found at a flea market, and the game console Ning begged her father to buy when she got into the top cultivation students. She later gave it to him. Zhang said his mom wouldn't let him throw away any more toys. And then his father came in and told him that his parents had something to tell him. Zhang was surprised and realized that when one strives to rise up, one doesn't notice the counting of time. 100 years could end up being the blink of an eye. Father said, what do they know, how he had always envied little Ning for the reason that she was studying cultivation, and had himself dreamed of studying in the same department as her. They can't financially afford to pay the registration fee, forcing him to shoot and suffer because of it. Zhang said that his father had a heart condition, after all, and they had been saving money for his surgery for a long time. In a previous life, this sum had enabled him to go to the necessary lectures. But his father hid the fact that the disease was progressing and soon died a year later. His father told him, why should he bother with his old man's problems? Let him take everything. His old man is a laborer and his mother is a baker, both not particularly brilliant in intelligence and culture. Jang told his parents that he knows how hard it is for them to earn money to feed them all. He won't take them under any pretext. Jin asked him why he didn't tell them that he had already fully completed the first level of development. After all, this stage was comparable to many top students in the university. Jang said that he just didn't want to shock anyone. It would be better to first find a way to make some money to cure his father's ailment and start studying to become an immortal. Jin said that he just has frequent heart attacks. I think the lowest healing elixir will suffice. However, this art is now virtually lost due to the shortage of alchemist sorcerers. Spiritual pillai have become an essential resource on the path to enlightenment. Even the strongest one is worth hundreds of thousands of yuan. Zhang asked, what was the name of the progenitor and creator of alchemy there? Zhen said it was Jin Yuanzi. Zhang rejoiced and shouted that he was fabulously rich. And then Jin saw something under the table and asked, what is it? Just then, Jin pulled out 2 covers from under the bed. Zhang saw this and shouted like an eager man not to open them. Ning walked into the room and asked Zhang why he refused his parents' money. Was it because of his boyish pride? And then she quickly walked away from what she saw, closing the door behind her. She said she apologized for intruding at a bad time. Zhang embarrassed himself and yelled no to her to wait for him. Things are not as they seem to her. Jean said that it was a very excellent book, and he liked it a lot. While Zhang and Ning sat on the sofa, and looked at each other, Zhang understood that Ning was already struggling to earn money to support her family, and still had to find excuses to get by. Zhang said that he still can't believe that Jiang Yu is stalking her. Ning said no, he got it all wrong. Zhang asked her, why was she embarrassed? On the contrary, it was good to be loved by the surroundings and receive various signs of attention. Ning said that thanks to his wit back then in class when he publicly played out the courtship fight, she would finally be able to get rid of those 2 little devils Jie and Jiang. And then Zhang thought that it turns out, today little Ning had officially accepted her recognition. Zhang said honestly, glad that Gao finally got what he deserved. He was ready to rip and throw. Now the others would definitely believe how rotten he was. Ning said, why did such an easy solution to the problem of just pulling wood out from under the boiler never occurred to her? What do you mean? Zhang asked. Ning said that from now on, Zhang was her boyfriend, which meant that studying and cultivation exaltation would take place in peace. And then Zhen read the book to the end, and told me who these fake scribblings belonged to. Zhang said, how could he have never thought of such a great idea? They had been growing up together since they were in diapers. Of course he would help his little sister. Ning said, he had generally seen her ugly face at different times of growing up. Would anyone like that kind of horror? Zhang said right, after all, they are family and get along very well. Ugkus, and the truth does not represent their relationship. Ning asked if everything was alright. There is already too much blood coming out. Zhang said okay, it's just that boys have days just like the female gender when she gets nauseous. Ning said that girls and boys are alike in that way. Zhang told her not to worry. When she is asked who her boyfriend is, she can safely say his name. He will try to solve any problem. Ning walked out of the room and said that apparently she had been harboring strange thoughts for nothing. It really hurt. What was she thinking about? Zhen got angry and asked Zhang what was wrong with him. Wasn't that dream of being her weather umbrella now fulfilled? Zhang told Zhen if they could go take some pictures tomorrow. Zhen asked him what he was up to again. Zhang said he wants to get rich and hit on some hottie and enjoy the benefits of life. After arriving at the place, Zhen asked, is there definitely an elixir apothecary here? And who is this Su family? Zhang said that their clan ran an underground black market in Tian City. Even an alchemist who wasn't particularly talented would easily become honorable. Zhen asked him, had he decided to cash in on him? Nothing depended on her opinion now. When he got to the door, the guards told him to get the hell out of here. This is the Su family's main selling point, no commoners allowed. Zhang didn't speak to him and used the third level of the Foundation establishment stage, Combat Power 3. The guard approached Zhang and asked, "Is he deaf or something? Or reach out to help him." A group of guys were saying that something was about to start, a fun show. The girl called Zhang a baby and told him to go home. Zhang grabbed the guard's hand and said, "So he's an ordinary mortal, right?" And then the guard didn't expect as he was already on the ground. Zhang didn't spare him and pinned him to the ground. The guy said that the 4th level guard was defeated in a couple of seconds. The girl said that Zhang is so young and already standing at the 9th step. Perhaps he is a young master of some famous family. Zhang asked the guard, "Can he come in now?" The guard realized, if the guy hit her harder, he would have died by now. The guard thanked him for his kindness, and apologized to Zhang for not recognizing him. Zhang realized that people respected cultivators for their skills. Once inside, the man shouted that he was selling a miracle pill that restored chi and body, and at only 2 million yuan apiece. Let the buyers rush in, the last 3 mana-enhancing potions for a whole month. Zhang said that it is just solidly just low-grade goods that did not enter the first class. If they were in the past now, he would never feed his familiars that kind of crap. Zhang searched and shouted that he had found. If a pill is prepared from it, his father's illness will be gone forever. The seller said little brother has a good eye. This rootstock is the choicest. Zhang asked Zhang, what did the salesman say? Is their master a total dummy or what? Zhang said it was different in their time. The seller was telling Zhang not to hesitate. At the moment, it was worth 300,000 yuan and it would still take the same amount to hire an alchemist. Zhang said, what if it doesn't work out? Zhang said they charge the same price as the ingredients and have no responsibility. Zhang was surprised and said, isn't this direction an easy money-making business where it is in no way possible to lose profits? The salesman took the money and said he wasn't wrong about him when he first saw him on the doorstep here. And his gift for reading people. But here the seller said that it is better not to joke with him in this way, or he will get serious consequences. The salesman didn't like it and said he would report him who wants to snatch himself a freebie. Immediately, he shouted to the entire marketplace that they should not let this poor man get away. And then came Fu Wan, one of the 5 tigers of the clan. Fu asked, is this puppy causing trouble? And then the clock told Zhang that the stage of chi development, combat strength 15. The difference in strength with the enemy is too great. Zhang asked Zhang not to behave recklessly as usual. His level of enlightenment was a whole area higher than his. Zhang said, this guy dares to talk to him like that, a pathetic fighter with 18 points? Let him call the head of the family here. The seller saw this and said it was just arrogance. Fu looked at him angrily and said that he wanted to see the owner. Fu asked Zhang who he thought he was. Zhang said that he was a second-rank alchemist in Tian City, besides a master from their clan. People started laughing and saying that this guy really thinks he's an ace. A marvelous 18-year-old, laugh out loud. The vendor said that Zhang is crazy, and he will try to explain popularly. At the foundation stage, the cultivator still lacks knowledge. Only when you reach the level of chi development can you fully utilize magic. For example, to create pills, to control fire. Fu said moreover, alchemy as an art was lost centuries ago. Even they only have skills of its second-rate kind. Zhang told Fu that he advised him to broaden his horizons, for his eyes do not always see the truth. Fu asked him what he had blubbered, and then Zhang got angry and threw the flower, calling him an asshole in response, because it was time to play big. Zhang said, if he wishes to make a pill, why would he resort to a pottery kiln and ordinary spiritual fire? Taking about Zhang began to say that heaven is fire, earth is hearth, and the alchemy of creation a miracle. At the moment of cooking, the flour began to deform into a ball and then became a pill. And then Zhang used the burner of the greatest illuminating flame. The salesman was surprised and couldn't believe his eyes. And then he realized that the boy had not lied to him. People saw that Zhang had succeeded the first time. With such a chance of success, he could really be ranked second. Fa said no, even if the wisest mage took over, if it wasn't possible to achieve 100% processing, let alone. Fa grabbed his hand and said, making potions without using the furnace and fire? Even a rank 10 master doesn't possess such skill. It's certainly unbelievable, but it's just a pathetic trick to check out the scam now. Zhang asked them, had they ever seen fake pills worth 2 million? And then Fa remained silent. Zhang said that Fa had taken the Xiang potion 13 days ago, increasing his step breakthrough. However, after a dozen other days, began to decline. Fa asked the guy how he knew about this. Zhang said that his present influence was indeed excellent. However, the manufacturing process must be done by a savvy cultivator, for not everyone can give the grass the cooling it needs. Zhang doesn't advise them to process it slowly yet. It's better to find a refrigerated room so that the properties don't disappear. Fa made sure and thanked the guy. Zhang said he had shown enough now to meet their leader. Fa said yes, and called him a respected mage alchemist. They were too blind. They apologize on their ignorance. That an 18-year-old master was one of the few capable of such miracles in the entire Eastern Dragon state. Fa shouted to the guards. Why are they standing like tin soldiers? Have them bring Miss here. And then Miss came in and said there was no need to yell like that. She'd seen the whole thing with her own eyes. Miss asked Arun, was he trying to entertain the guests or something? And then everyone bowed and said hello to her. Arun apologized to the hostess. Because of this guy's past actions, he had lost all his manners. Miss told him to keep quiet. Even if he behaved arrogantly, there's nothing wrong with it. After all, not everyone you meet is an outstanding alchemist. Miss asked if she could get his name and where to study. And then the clock told him that the other party was 2 stages above him. Zhen said that this girl's skill was enough to pummel a dozen people with enlightenment like Fu's. Zhang was glad that the beautiful viper in charge of all the black markets in the city had finally shown up. The guy said that he is Zhang, a student of Tianchuan Academy. His master is very demanding, so he won't say what his name is. And then Zhang took a proud pose and the salesman said that he is a show-off. And he doesn't support his self-confidence. Fu said that his tongue is very long, it needs to be shortened urgently. Su told them not to be angry, he is second rank. Zhang realized that no one would believe him if he said that he was under the patronage of the Eastern Dragon Empress, Ji. Su said as she apologized for the swear words against him, sacred mentor. She is the young mistress of the family, Su. Her father is seriously ill, why does she now hold the title of clan head? And then Zhang was surprised and thought, and here Shui was telling her to hold on and not vent her anger. Even though he was a small thing, he was already able to compete with his father in creating the elixir. Zhang asked, could she pay the full amount for the herb? Shui said, even being a miracle worker, poor as a church mouse. Zhang said that money comes first for him. By the way, she is a baby, can they eat some delicious rice together? Shui said, what she's paying. The vendor said that as soon as the young man walked in, he felt an aura unlike the others. Zhang realized that she was really rich since she gave 300,000 without hesitation. Shui said that they always welcome outstanding artisans. Zhang asked her what it was about. Shui said that it was only enough to do it occasionally. And the Su clan would give out a bonus for his services. Zhang told her that any whim for their money. Zhen said he was the holy ancestor of the land. How did he get stuck here with him, a stump? Shui said, that provided they were willing to cooperate with them, let him take her gold card. This card has 10 million yuan on it, consider it for a gift. Zhang asked, is a second-grade alchemist really that expensive? Zhen told him not to lose his prestige in front of the face of the femme fatale. Zhang thought 10 million was a lot of money. Shui apologized for her disrespectfulness. A wise man like him certainly doesn't need such pennies. Zhang grabbed the card and said that you don't look a gift horse in the teeth. He humbly accepts her gifts. The vendor said his ponces hadn't diminished, but now it was just like a master. Zhen smiled and said to guess whose credit it was. Fa said that if they had settled everything, he would go and try his way of processing the potion. The young alchemist, from now on, relies on their care. Zhang said that he completely forgot to mention, although that method is valid, but a person might vomit for a couple days. Zhang said, and of course, he would take the card for a reason and waved his finger and used his magic. Su said it's high-level raw materials. Master, why does he need it? Jin asked the guy, does he want to make those very pills? Zhang said right, although they are only second class, but they were popular in ancient times. And the success rate of creation is much lower. Jin asked the guy, is he kidding me? He invented this remedy himself, and he has the right to do so. Using all their strength, they transformed this place into something magical. And at the end, Zhang used the transformation method. The guys were surprised and said that they had never seen such elixirs before. After such a long time after the head of the family Su, Shui was also surprised, such magic, and said the spiritual elemental pill. Its creation was beyond even his father's ability. Pradewi jumped in and said that the clan had invested hundreds of millions of dollars to create them, but it didn't work out. Su said the guy really is the best. How lucky they are to have him. She can't believe her eyes. The kid's a real alchemy emperor. Zhang said that now he wants to return the favor, let Su take his present. Su said such an incredible thing, and for her, Zhang said that they didn't have enough skill yet to transform the perfect yuan potion. And this potion would smooth out the inhibition. Su said that nothing less was expected from a wise man. Showed everyone the truth with one word and movement. Su told him they shouldn't and they didn't deserve such a generous gift. Zhang took his finger and gagged her. Zhang said that she would gradually feel the improvement of her triple spirituality. Perhaps in 3 days, she would be able to fully transition to the third stage, soul purification. Looking at the map, Zhang recalled that Shui had said that they were bound by a business relationship from now on. Zhen said, seeing Su for the first time, he had one bold thought. Zhang said for him to toss them aside. Zhen said, tempting her step by step, giving false hopes and promises. Was that his plan? Zhang said honestly it was. Zhang said that all people like to be treated with affection and courtesy. Therefore, a word or two is enough to make a person trust someone. Zhang said to confront Gao with his powerful entourage, one would have to gain support, right? Applying the art of primordial chaos for the first time, the soul nodes that absorb the chi of the sky and earth of his surroundings begin to open up. Zhen said that nevertheless, the elevation speed using it was much faster than normal spells. Zhang said that the black market pharmacy pillars absorbed a huge amount of emotion today. But the biggest outburst was when the guard was on edge. Zhen told him to try to prepare properly, for Gao would not back down so easily, and the announcement of a rematch was just around the corner. Very soon the pillar will be filled to its fullest and another soul of a god will be called to earth. And he must surely protect. And then he remembered that she had told him to be an obedient boy and get his feet out of here. Zhang said that if only one could become immortal. But what would change then? The mentor said that he acted too soft and decent, that's why he lost. Even after getting the imperial throne, he couldn't fix anything. Zhang asked her to give him another chance to protect the others. If he had to resort to the dirtiest means, he would do whatever she wanted. Just then, Zhang stood up abruptly, from the worst dream he had ever had. While Zhen was telling the Pikachu to launch 100 volts at the enemy, Zhang said it was the same dream of the past again. A previous life, countless sleepless nights, the desperate screams of Ning and East Madam Shi, the mountains of corpses of innocent people. All those pictures are imprinted in his memory and turned into nightmares that torment him. They are the only thing that came with him to the real world, other than the Hall of Souls. Now that he has a powerful artifact with him, he uses it to its fullest. Just then, shouts were heard outside the door. Ning shouted for them to get away from her. But her mother told her to be careful. Just then, Zhang came down and asked what happened. The mother told Zhang that everything was fine. Let him go to his room. And then the guy said, isn't that her loser brother? He's an adult, but he's still hiding behind his mom and sister's skirt. The guy was telling Ning that he was repeating for the last time, their father owed them 200,000 for medical treatment. If they didn't pay off the debt today, they could forget about the store. Mother said that they have some abnormal interest rates. Could 50,000 suddenly turn into 200? The guy said he'd already told me the exact amount and it was out of the question. In the local neighborhoods, no one dares not give back what they have taken. Ning said, is father sick? Why didn't they say anything? Mother said they labored, worked to provide for them. The guy said not to get their hopes up just because the daughter is a cultivation student. The guy said, why are his people making a big deal out of this? I'd rather they trash the place if they don't want to shell out the money. Or, if the cutie spends one night with them and gives them a good service, they'll mow down their debt. And all will be forgiven. The guy said how smart his boss was. He's never tried young girls. What's the hottie think about that? The guy said that otherwise the rumors would spread around the academy and the little brother and sister would be expelled. And then Zhang asked him if he was looking for death. Ning stopped him and told him not to fool around. Even though Chu is about his level in terms of combat power, he has ties to the Su clan, it's best not to mess with them. Chu said that's great. They know. Their group and the Li family are the most powerful people in Tian. If he had to kill someone, he'd have no problem. He'll crush anyone like an ant. Zhang was saying that he didn't care about them from on high. And then he realized that he needed to be more restrained. Did Zhang say how much is required? His friend is bringing it to them right now. Chu said the kid was showing off. Students don't have that kind of money. Zhang said he just doesn't carry the money with him, or is he afraid the guy will run away? Chu said for him to act. Zhang picked up the phone and dialed the black market guard Fu. He told him that he wanted to call him for a meeting about a matter. And then Fu yelled for everyone to shut up. An important guest is calling. He told Zhang that if he needed anything, just let him ask for it. He doesn't even know how to thank him. The elixir worked well. Zhang said that a burly guy named Chu, who has a father-brother loan, broke in. He says to give him the interest too, or his gang will raid the place. I'm sending his coordinates now, can he help? Chu said then let him give them 400,000. Mother said they only borrowed 50,000. Chu said, as much as he says, that's how much they will pay. Zhang asked Fu, had he heard? He has already raised the rate. Come over soon. Fu told him not to worry, he knew what was up. And then he told the guys they were moving out. Fu couldn't understand what kind of brat would think of touching the VIPs of their clan. Ransacking the house of the best alchemist. Zhang's mother asked Zhang, who is this friend? And why is he willing to lend him so much money? Chu said that's commendable. The offspring have more brains than their own parents. Chu thought that once they shook off their dough, they'd try to forcefully take that fairy-like chick. And then Fa arrived at the store with a crowd of people, and opened the door. Blondie and everyone was surprised, and said to the boss. Chu said it's Mr. Fu from the black market pharmacy. Why is he here? Fa asked him. Chu said he was his little brother's little brother, baby Chu. Fu said he didn't recall and told him to get out of the way. Fa approached Zhang and called him mentor. Zhang pointed his finger at him and told him not to make things up. Fa asked Zhang, is he okay? Zhang said yes, but he wants everyone's arms broken. Chu told Fu to listen to him. He didn't realize they were friends. Zhang stopped him and told him to stop. Zhang told Fu not to let them break anything in the store. Fu looked at him and told him not to worry. Fu couldn't help himself, so he hit that Chu guy hard. And told his men to take care of that couple too. Let them know where they belong. Zhang told his mother and Ning that it was just as they asked, but he didn't feel like watching them being bullied. Ning asked, is Fu really from the Su family? How did he manage to meet a mafia big shot? Zhang said that they met when he used to work as a courier. Brother Fu saw him as a hard worker and decided to take him under his wing. Fu said he wouldn't allow his friend to be bullied by a bunch of freaks. And here he hoped that mistress wouldn't be angry. Did Ning really ask? Mother said, isn't it too much to beat people to a pulp anyway? Fu told her don't panic. Those three assholes are in the foundation stage. To them, a broken arm is just a minor scratch. And then after beating everyone from Fu told brother Zhang it's done. What do we do with them next? Zhang asked Chu, he wanted the 400,000, right? Should he ask Fu to give it to him? Chu apologized and said he was unaware of their friendship. A battered Chu got down on his knees and said they would write off their debts. And they would do it especially for them. Zhang said fine, let him consider his offer accepted. However, He was the one who bullied his family, and he is not going to just leave it at that. Zhang told Chu not to dare to come here even one step in the future. They all understood it hopefully. Chu said they all understood that. Fu said if that's it now, he went too. And then Zhang said he almost forgot something. Zhang told his mom that in the medicine that brother Fu had made for him earlier, let him give it to his father and he would recover immediately. The mother asked how could they take such a valuable item. Zhang told her not to worry, just decided to take out a loan. He would definitely repay it after graduating from the academy. Mother said that now father will finally not suffer at last. Mr. Fu is really a good man. But they must return the money. But then Zhang saw Ning looking at him and asked, did he have something on his face? Ning said it was just an impression. It was as if Zhang had grown up and matured. Zhang asked, and in what way? Ning said that he was acting like a fool again. Just then, Zhang entered the room and said that he couldn't rely on him all the time after all. Absorbing the guard and greed, Chu and his six, the pillar glowed even brighter. The next summoning was not far off. Zhen said that his strength is already higher than all the first years combined. Why would he be worried? Zhang said that his true opponents are not childish at all. There will be a monster attack in a month. Art of Water, at his command let him appear in their world, the Black Dragon of Springs. Let him seize the beast. Gathering all the elements into one instead of one, they were ready to fight to the end, for this was their last chance. The Qin girl said to let the lightning bolts of the firmament wrap around the divine sword. Great Spirit D and unleash its fury on the unclean one. And at that moment, they thought it had worked. And then there was a rumble, and the demon came out of the wall. The old man said that even a combined attack couldn't break through his defense. And then the monster used the space gap. In the moment the rector fell right under the attack. And Jiang saw it and couldn't save him at that moment. Jiang said that his magic was capable of destroying the planet's matter. Just then, the monster turned around and attacked the girl. Zhang said that there was hope of winning if he had to give a fight to an inferior demon with a combat power of 200 points. Did Zhen say to let him think for himself? Zhang said that he and the undead tribes have been around since ancient times. Maybe he knows a way to deal with them. Zhen said it all started from the moment when Pangu created the world. Zhang said to keep it short. He was a creator god who fell dead after creating the heavens and earth. Eventually his soul transformed into the three supreme celestials. The sorceress power took the form of 4 demon emperors. And the physical shell, in turn, turned into 12 ancestors of the descendants who entered the clan of monsters. Zhang said Zhen wanted to say that their greatest strength lies in their direct kinship with him. Zhen said right. For example, he is a particle of Pang's soul power ingested by a ginseng tree, then reborn as a savia. His roots are second only to the bloodline of the 3 immortals. He was lucky enough to reincarnate with a huge amount of soul chi, so he became the head of all other cultivators and gods. All demons were born from his flesh, therefore possessing eternal life and abnormal power. In their eyes, the human race was an inferior species until they developed their own extraordinary methods to counter them. What did Zhang ask? Zhen said that there are 3 in total. First, you need to find a sacred artifact that is strong enough to pierce the bodies of monsters. And it's also worth finding a way to counteract the nature of the opponent's skills. In the second place we must call upon as many souls of the greatest as possible to unite out of knowledge with our own. Third, combat power must definitely be at least 900, this is the 9th level of enlightenment refinement. Zhang said that doing so many things in a month seems impossible. Zhen said that Gao and his gang posed a very serious threat. Zhang said that he was sure they couldn't do anything and would stop halfway through. Tech is primal chaos, it gets better. When more people come to die, their actions make his combat power build up faster. Also, negative emotions will be the perfect energy boost to the spirit pillars. Zhen sat down at his computer in the evening and said that only emperors of past dynasties possessed that skill. Whose reincarnation is this kid? The next day at the academy in class, Zhang thought that cultivating through meditation was very long. If he wants to really advance through accepting pristine chaos and improve it, you need to emphasize real fights. But who to spend them with, thought Zhang looking at Gao, and his herd of sheep friends. and then a guy behind him told him that things were bad. He had heard that Gao had paid a round sum to some dangerous bully from the ancient martial arts society to finish him off. Zhang smiled and asked, was it true? The guy said that they were now gathered in full force, so they could distract Ning and attack unexpectedly. Zhang said, well, isn't this beautiful? The guy was surprised and asked why his reaction was so strange, but then suddenly, right at him, the teacher threw chalk, in a moment of conversation during class. The teacher told Zhang to answer the question asked. Who is the center of power in the Eastern Dragon State? And then the guys started saying that once again, Zhang was out of luck. I wonder if this time his punishment would last until morning or the whole day. Zhang said, what is naturally the #1 sect called the Lurking Dragon Pavilion. It inherited ancient Taoism from the three rulers. Any government and immortal organizations of all cities, as well as punitive bureaus, fall directly under their jurisdiction, otherwise known as the Pavilion Saint. And then he thought, what is she doing now? Zhang said to the professor, can Dion ask something harder? She was surprised that he actually listened to the lectures attentively. Gao said that he would let him shine for the last time, for when PE starts and the ancient martial arts club does ho, there won't be a wet spot left of him. Zhang said that Gao and his gang roaming the perfect match, how come he didn't immediately think of such a thought? In gym class, the teacher said rules as usual, move around freely. The precursor thought, this is the age of cultivators, why even need sports? Ning told Zhang to go play tennis with her, and then the girl told Ning not to invite the bad man. Ning told her to stop being rude, he's her friend she's been growing up with since she was in diapers. Zhang refused and said he'd rather watch ball games than be a part of them. Ning said he's back to his madman's ramblings again, and then the boys watched as the girls ran around and played tennis. But Zhang was also looking at Ning's breasts. The guy told Zhang to stop with his perversions and let him watch tennis properly. Just then, some guys came up behind him and asked Zhang, did he know why they were here? It was Wang Tao, one of the strongest freshmen. Zhang took his hand away and told him to back off. Can't he see that he's enjoying playing tennis? The guy asked him, is he really Tao's brother? One of the three leaders of the club? Tao said, so Zhang's keeping his eye on the ball. And then Tao attacked him and said that he would better improve Zhao's view. But Zhang stood up abruptly and dodged the attack. Zhang asked him, he's Gao's chain dog, right? I see you're getting into trouble, you shouldn't anger and distract a man from watching sports. And Ning saw everything and asked what was going on. The girl said that it looked like they were the same gangsters who were obsessed with fighting. Now their perverted bandmate is going to get it for sure. Did Ning say why they're messing with him? We should go find out. But then the guy attacked Ning and asked, did she want to protect Zhang? You better take care of yourself first. Just then, the girl told Ning to dodge. Ning noticed this and put her defense against him. Ning, a freshman, is ranked 52nd in the Academy's Immortal ranking, with a combat power of number 8. Lu's attacker, a sophomore, is ranked 50th in the Academy's Immortal ranking, with a combat strength of 9. Ning said that he was one of the three leaders of the ancient martial arts society, Lu Bao. She realized that the attack was too sudden, but it was a blessing to avoid being hit. The girl said Ning was bleeding. Ning told her to stay away and not to get involved. Ning thought that it was already less like a disagreement between students, for the other party had been very prepared. Did Gao really get hurt and have a hand in this? Damn it, Zhang's in danger at the moment too. Lu decided to attack her and said, Ning, does she have enough time to worry about others? A while earlier, the teacher had told Zhang to show at least a little common sense. Zhang asked, what did someone decide to talk about common sense? The teacher said that in any case he and explanations are sometimes needed for readers to understand the whole picture of what is going on. Did Zhang tell the guys it's just them? Where is their much honored Gao, the coward? The guy standing next to him thought that they were really finished this time. Ta asked Zhang, did he think he was worthy of his presence? And then several guys stood in front of him. Zhang said their little rat is capable of doing the right thing. He wants to kill him, but he doesn't get into trouble or get his hands dirty. The guy told Zhang not to be afraid, they have been friends for over 10 years since elementary school. Even if he got kicked, he would share the fate with him too. But then Jang saw that Ning was also being attacked. He was even more angry because he had to stand up for her. He knew he had to get it all out quickly and get them out of his way. Gao attacked him and told him not to blame the tough guys for his ruthlessness. "You're asking for trouble." But then Zhang took the bat and hit him, telling him to shut up at last. Zhang thought and decided that he would try moving the mana into a baseball bat. The hits would be equal to flying stones. Ta pointed his finger and said that Zhang had attacked him in a sneak attack. No martial dignity. Zhang said that human life is too short, and then why choose the shortest path to one's own doom? Zhang was pissed off and said loudly that he didn't care if that snot-nosed brat showed up or not. He would deal with the mongrel pile first and then go looking for him. The guy was startled and asked Zhang why he was whipping so much mana at him. The guy was also surprised. He said, "Wasn't Zhang a dumb loser to this life, unable to cultivate at all?" The guys were asking, "Do they have eye problems? How could foolish Zhang have so much qi? And what element does it belong to? I've never seen a color like this before. And the clock is incapable of measuring its combat power." The enemy said that no matter where he was lucky enough to get a bunch of energy from, however, garbage would forever be garbage. Attacking Zhang said, "Did the current villains only have the brains to make empty insults?" The guy dodged the attack and said that he was one of the best freshman cultivators, and he couldn't even touch his clothes in a voto. Zhang attacked him again and asked the guy, "Is he sure?" And then the guy was very surprised, from Zhang's speed. Zhang said to the guy, his smug smile particularly charming, "But it's going to go bad soon." The guys were surprised that Zhang had defeated one of the 3 martial arts club leaders, and even one with an 8th level foundation establishment stage on top of that. How did he have the strength? Ta told Zhang that he would definitely kill him today. And shouting to his boys to stop, he ordered them to go fight. "But whoever breaks this scum's leg will be paid 10,000. He used his dirty tricks on Brother Tao. Zhen shouted to Zhang to be more careful. "There are too many of them, let him use the abilities of the Hall of Souls." And then Zhang gained strength and said that they could act, and the first style of artifact mastery, the unified soul Zhen. Zhang saw that his body merging with the spirit of a saint would allow him to display true omnipotence. Letting the bat fly in the air, Zhang Anchor used his magic, and attacked with the second style of magic arm, the Gorarek Aura. The guys didn't realize that they were going to be finished this day, and running to attack, Zhang attacked them in return with his magic. He didn't spare anyone, and with his own strength, he knocked out everyone who attacked him. Soon they were all beaten. The guys were surprised that stupid Zhang had actually won. He was attacked by 7 people and couldn't inflict a scratch. The guy said, "Is Zhang really a wolf in sheep's clothing? Zhang is too very cool apparently. Why did he hide his talents?" Zhang said that the opponents were weak and the qi had only increased a little. It was not enough to break through the 9th level of the first stage. Zhang told Ta that he kind of ordered them to break his legs, didn't he? Ta thought for sure he was that asshole Zhang. Ta burst out and said that it was time for him to get out. There was no way Zhang could kill him today. As soon as Brother Pao is done with Ning, he'll be killed too. Zhang was enraged by this, and taking his aura he released all of his power. Ta ran away shouting for him not to do that. Zhang said, "Don't underestimate the fury of ordinary people who are desperately trying to survive." Ning saw this enemy's attack and was able to dodge, because with this kind of strike force, he would be able to break all the bones and the person would die on the spot. Ning said that the first qi of wind into various objects, one could accelerate them to the extreme speed of flight. The guy didn't shy away from the attack and took it on. He said that his body had gone through the training of 13 mentors. The muscles had become true steel. Let it fluff its leaves all it wants, but scratches won't stop it. And then Ning decided to use her clones and the enemy didn't hit her. She realized that although he wasn't as fast as her, he was trying to keep up. And that takes too much mana. Sooner or later he'll run out of mana. The preceptor had said earlier that although the technique of the 13 mentors was strong, but it wasn't quite perfect either. But all Ning needs to do is find a vulnerable spot. And then she decides to take matters into her own hands and attack. The guy told Ning what he'd said before, her pitiful flowers weren't enough to do adequate damage. And then the guy decided to attack and said that now the girl had nowhere to run. And then she said she found a vulnerable spot. At this distance, a feather flying at the speed of wind energy would definitely bring victory for her. The instructor said that if you hit the target accurately, her mana would completely run out and they would die. And then the guy asked her if she really had the guts to kill a person. And then the guy attacked and Ning was able to dodge. But the particles of the explosion grazed her body, and she fell to the ground. The boy came up to her and grabbed her by the hair. He said he was very grateful to Gao. After all, he had never tasted a female student before. And then her friend decided to attack her and yelled at the guy not to touch Ning. The guy attacked her and said, "Is she jealous? Does she want to keep Great Bao company with her?" But then Ning looked for Zhang and wondered what they had done to him. But then Zhang came flying in and attacked the guy. He kicked him right in the head. The guy slumped down, unable to keep his balance, and let go of Ning. She was very surprised to see Zhang in front of her. Zhang told her to stay out of it. And take care of her arm. He'll take care of the rest. Ning asked him, is he alright? But more precisely, how did he get so much magical power? Ning asked, where is Wang Tao? Didn't his minions go to his soul? Zhang said that there should be no trash on the academy grounds. A few times earlier, the guy was telling Zhang that here were all the people beaten up by him. Zhang said they were taking them back to the club. Ning said just don't tell him, they got such a kick out of him. Zhang said the guy did a great job, let him keep it up, they will be done soon. Zhang asked Ning if he had bruises on her face. And then the girl said it's all that psycho's fault. She's willing to do whatever it takes. She is even willing to become his girlfriend together with Ning. Zhang said that this was not the right time to propose something like that. And then the enemy stood up and asked Zhang, did he feel like dying? Ning told Zhang to leave her and run away, because he was no match for him. And then the guy decided to attack from behind. Zhang said to Ning, the point from retreating, he'd rather end him right in front of her. Watch carefully. Zhang decided to use his magic, but Zhen told him not to. Zhang asked him what happened. Zhen said that with his current level of combat power, the duration of the common soul ability could only be 5 minutes a day. And then the guy had already attacked Zhang. Zhang said to Zheng, why did he keep silent earlier? And then a fist flew into Zhang's face. Zhen said that he forgot to mention it. And then Zhang slammed into the wall, from being hit so hard. His friend was watching him and thought he had hurt his head. Ning asked Zhang, is he alright? She knew it was Lu Bao who was too skillful in fighting. Zhang stood up, smiling said, so they wouldn't panic, the situation was under control. He purposely gave in to him. Zhang said he was just afraid being more serious would turn him into a wet spot. Lu was surprised that Zhang was hit directly and survived. Ning said that if bragging was criminalized, he would definitely get 8 or 10 years in jail. Zhang asked her, she wouldn't give it back. Zhang pointed his finger at Lu and told him to hit him again. The girl said he was crazy. And she told Ning that his boyfriend's brains were blown off in the fall. Lu listened to him and attacking said, this guy only seeks death. But even then, Zhang stood still and took the attack on himself, and then asked him, is that it? And realizing that this was it, Zhang said that now it was his turn. And immediately he sealed him in the ground. Zhang said Lu doesn't have much strength. What a pity. Lu was surprised and asked what the guy had given him. He asked how his punches were able to break through such a defense in the first place. And then Zhang put up his hand and managed to resist him. Zhang said, didn't he say, and also gave permission to attack? Immediately, he launched his attack. Zhang said that having the same level of combat power, and practicing a primordial skill, there was no way to defeat him. And here the guys were surprised and thought he was cool and strong. Ning asked when he had gained so much knowledge. Lu got to his feet very fierce and said that Zhang was going to die right now. And he would tear his body into pieces. Zhang's friend said for everyone to watch Lu freak out. And at that moment, Lu started to change. Ning got scared and said that Lu Bao was going to use spells. The guy asked her, what do you mean? The girl said that they are meant to increase one's own strength and fight to the fullest. These teachings are only passed down from master to apprentice. Ning said that a fight between immortals didn't only depend on the level of combat power. Even a very weak spell could increase his stats by several times. Lu turning into a monster told Zhang that he now wanted to see how he could repel his attack. Zhang's friend saw the fight and said that things were bad. The girl asked if Lu had reached the peak of his ability. Ning yelled at Zhang to run away. Zhang didn't run away and just stood still. Immediately, there was a collision and a large explosion appeared. Zhang also showed the peak of his abilities by stopping Lu. Ran himself could not believe that this was possible. And then Zhang decided to attack, and used his strong grip. And told him to see the absolute omnipotence. The girl was surprised and said that Zhang, using his bare hands, was able to break Lu's spell. Zhang asked Lu, was it he who injured Ning? And which hand did he do it with? And then Zhang decided to break his hand and stepped on him. Soon Lu screamed in pain. Zhang asked Lu, does he still want to finish him off? Let him answer immediately. And grabbing his other hand, Zhang started to break it again. Lu started to deny and told Zhang that he was wrong. He's asking him to let him go. And he'll do whatever he wants, he can even dog his personal dog. Lu said Zhang's always giving Gao a hard time, right? Let him go and beat him up. Just don't cripple him. Lu realized that the jerk would pay. How dare he lie to him? Why bully others like that and set them up? Zhang gathered his strength and said that the train had already left. Everyone should have their own boundaries of what is allowed, and he crossed them by raising his fist at the girl. And then Zhang's friend remembered all the times they had been bullied by those guys and humiliated in front of everyone. In those moments, he was very happy and told Zhang that it was a very good job. And told him to have him kill him. Let them now know how to bully them again. Ning told him that enough was enough and it was time to stop. If Zhang continued, he would die, and such an act would not distinguish him from himself in any way. He wanted to be a villain and a murderer today. Ning thought that this guy in front of her was really Zhang. Lu told Zhang that he has no right to touch him. In his shadow is one of the coolest founders of their club, Ho Cheng. He is the greatest second-year master cultivator. Is there any common sense to mess with him? But Zhang looked at him and said nothing. And then a girl came in and said that she even wondered who had the guts to have an open scuffle right in the academy. Or do they think the head of the disciplinary committee is just for show, appointed at this academy? And then Jiang, the chairwoman of the disciplinary committee, appeared and saw this guy lying on the ground and beaten like a pig to slaughter Lu Bao. Jiang walked over to him and started laughing, and said no mistake. Did a bunch of martial arts scum get what they deserved? It was a bomb to the soul. Jiang asked her, why has she come to visit, Madam Chief? Jiang asked, isn't he the brother Ning rumored to be? Jiang said probably because they live together. Jiang said, is her identity already known? Give way. Jiang said, is she the one with the big boobs and the rude one? And then Ning asked, what are they arguing about? Jiang said she's here to see Ning, not the dork. The committee has come to administer justice. Zhang said that it was actually to his credit that she was still in one piece. If she ever dares to be rude to him again, he promises to knock the silicone out of her breasts. Is it possible to say such a thing to a girl? However, she apologizes. The joke about fake breasts really made her laugh. Jiang asked Zhang, is he blind or what? They're completely natural. She remembered that she had to hold her punch, and fend off any barbs directed at her. Luckily, she studied enough material from the morning and did her homework ahead of time. In such a situation, when a wealthy woman comes face to face with a pauper villain of second nature provoking her, Jiang said that no one should be impertinent to her. Let the ruffian now listen to her carefully, that you shouldn't play with fire. Zhang asked her, is she trying to pussyfoot around those dominant broads from the weird stories? Did the guy tell Jiang that he was getting into trouble? It's Jiang, the leader of the school's order. Are you even aware that their coalition is only made up of genius students? The head of the cultivation department, Shui, is her aunt. And the origin of their family, according to others, has its roots even further back in history than the Gao clan. Jiang thought that according to the novel, the guy should take water in his mouth after her action and be very shocked. After finding out who she was, students usually falter and kneel down, begging for mercy. Zhang said it's the same thing, right? Now it made sense who she was so cocky about. Jiang didn't understand why the hell he kept standing in his stinking stern pose. There's probably only one good reason for what's happening: he wants to show off in front of Ning. Jiang told Zhang he wants a double dose of punishments and detention for lewd and vulgar phrases. Zhang said he hoped she didn't think her vocabulary was seriously trendy and intimidating. Have outsiders never remarked to her that this manner of speech is bullshit? And then all the guys started getting indignant and throwing phrases at Zhang, and he said he understood them. Ning said she always act like that, just give in at least a little. And then Zhang asked Ning, where did she manage to hurt herself? Zhang said the situation is under control. Just stand back and let me finish off, asshole Bao. Jiang said, it comes out that the person who created the hype is him? Jiang said no, it was him. Let her back off, they still haven't settled something. Jiang asked him, is there a limit to his bragging? What kind of fool would believe such nonsense? Zhang didn't speak and glared at her ominously. Jiang asked him what was wrong. Angry because he was exposed, Jiang thought, did this guy really make this mess? And then she asked him, he dares to ignore the headman? Zhang asked her, they had never met, right? And then she remembered him when she had gone to the bathroom, in the wrong place. Jiang said right. They were meeting for the first time in their lives. Jiang asked, and why would he be steamed about strangers? Jiang said that she had caught the thought, however, she didn't care. Mei Lu and his gang deserve the most painful death. You don't want to start a fight in a public place. And if he confesses, she asks him to come with her to a special training unit. Jiang realized that what he fought for was what he got. You wanted to be the object of their lovely lady's affection? Then don't blame her for settling personal scores. Jiang said, what if he refuses? Jiang said for him to try and take a chance. But in this institution, no one is allowed to say no to the head of justice. Jiang said he almost forgot. And then the clock said that the difference in combat power levels was too great. It is impossible to recognize the exact parameters. He realized that even though she was mentally retarded, she was the top-ranked cultivator in the academy. On par with the president of the students' union, namely, Jiang Yu's skill surpasses any other among students. Zhen told Zhang to be careful, her aura was similar to Su's energy. He couldn't match her even with the soul-merging ability. Zhang smiled and said his condolences. Zhen shouted at him to heed his words for once. But today, she ran into a man who didn't care about her threats. Zhen said, with how all pathos vanished before the countenance of his rival on the love front. Lu Bao thought that when Senior Hua tried to hit on this girl, he got slapped. He had to go to the hospital for 3 months. The Students' Union and the Disciplinary Committee are the most influential. Each of their participants stands at the peak of incredible skill. It would seem that an innocent, foolish girl is standing in front of him now. She can compete in strength with Li Tian and being the president of the union. Poor guy. Even if in heaven all roads and paths are open, in hell they are not. By provoking her, he is only bringing closer his doom, which man will finally see. Running up to his friend, the guy asked him to stop his gratuitous provocations. Chen Ning told the chairwoman that he did not have any bad intentions, let her not be angry with him. Jiang Yu thought about the need to maintain a good image and not fall in this girl's eyes. But she won't let this scumbag go unpunished. According to the stories in the books, to make someone obey her, and to leave behind a sense of maturity and experience, the following must be said. Suddenly, she asked the girl how dare she give orders to those above the rank. Looking at Jiang Yu fearfully, Chen Ning asked why she was being so intimidating. The girl was surprised that she was being intimidated. Zhang Qing told the man that now, he wants to continue to clarify the relationship. Lu Bao realized that the girl's bloody aura couldn't tame this psychopath. The guy says all his limbs are broken, and even after that he risks objecting to something, mentally calling him a scumbag. Lu Bao wondered if he really wanted to humiliate him in front of the others. The man replied that of course not. He was the only one to blame for what was happening today. The guys were surprised that he had bullied them for so many years and now he gave up. Zhang Qing replied that he was always in favor of justice, and since the man had repented for what he had done, their conflicts were over. Next, he said that they would move on to the second skirmish. Since he had the courage to raise his hand against the girl, the Dantian would be destroyed, so that he could no longer cultivate and no longer pose a threat to Chen Nan who was attacked. Lu Bao started yelling that he didn't need to. The guy replied that even if he refused, he would still have to get rid of him. Let him be grateful to the laws, for it is forbidden to kill people. A kind-hearted society has granted him salvation. He immediately started asking Jiang Yu to save him. Would the disciplinary committee just leave it as it was and watch? Glancing at him, the girl asked means he dared to attack Chen Ning? Then let him die. As soon as Lu Bao flew aside from her powerful punch, the girls thought that she was really intimidating. The boys immediately ran up to help him. She ordered him not to let him pass away, let them call for help. The girl immediately thought about how everything was gone. Now her image as a protective sister was shattered. Jiang Yu told the guy that this time they would part in peace, but she would keep an eye on him from now on. Grabbing Lu Bao, the guy said he needed to get to the hospital within an hour to survive. Just tell him where Gao Hao is and he's free to go. The man immediately said that they had gone to Lu Nian's bar. Upon hearing the information he needed, the guy immediately let go of him and the man fell to the ground. He immediately started yelling for the guys to rush him to the hospital. Chen Ning asked the guy is completely crazy. Does he even imagine what he is going to do? His family's bodyguards are much stronger than Lu Bao. So what's the point of taking the initiative to take revenge? The girl approached his friend named Lu Ji to have the guy try to talk to him. But smiling, he immediately shouted that if his friend wanted to track down that madman, they would go together. Zhang Qing asked if he was afraid of getting kicked back. The guy replied that when he beat them up, did he chicken out and run away? Suddenly responded that he even knows that you can get a kick out of arrogant words. He realized that there wasn't much left to ascend to the Qi development stage. Now he urgently needed a stronger opponent. Also, the heroic soul pillar's energy finally filled up to its fullest. He realized that summoning a new immortal warrior was his main trump card against Hao. Gao Hao said that he would have to borrow money from his father again to pay 800,000 to those guys. The guy's personal bodyguard asked why he didn't turn to him. Any guard is a better choice than Lu Bao. He told the guy that although the mentors were strong, the regular students were not a threat to them. The guy replied that is correct, but the members of the Students' Union and Disciplinary Committee stands well above 15 combat effectiveness, which is almost similar to the skill set of their elite assassin. And the leaders of these organizations could even rival his father. He said their clan is the greatest in all of Tianquan. The Li clan rules the laws of the commercial circles, and Su controls the underworld. Yes, and the son of the first community is the president of the Students' Union. The man replied that young Master Tian Yi was barely 18 years old, and he was worthy of comparison with his family's top mercenaries. Suddenly, the boy yelled out what had happened. Who dared to invade their homestead? One of the men lying down replied that it was a scoundrel from the Li clan. The boy was surprised, for they had always done business with them. Besides, they've always been honored. Why send someone to round them up? The man replied that there was only one attacker, it was the young Master Li Tian Yi. The bodyguard was surprised that he was able to defeat 10 cultivators of the Qi development stage by himself. The guy yelled that his father was on the soul purification stage. There's no way he's gonna lose to some pathetic weaklings. The man said the young gentleman decided to invade the shareholders' meeting, and hurt most of her subordinates. The man's afraid an explanation won't do the trick. After greeting Uncle Gao, the boy apologized for such an unexpected visit. He said he was there to discuss an important trade matter. Let him apologize for his tactless behavior. The man responded that he had never seen negotiations conducted in this manner before. He said the formal style is quite tiring, hopefully the gentlemen present are ready to unconditionally transfer all the assets of the Gao clan to his name, and to obey him from now on. When the men heard this, they were very surprised. They called the boy an arrogant boy. The man asked if they had made a mistake by contributing to creating conflict and instilling resentment in Senior Lee. Lee Tian-e replied that they had misunderstood the situation. This move was not made by his father, and it was not directed against their family at all. It was just that he wanted any future Tian Chuan bloodlines to completely obey him. Laughing, the man asked, "Has that kid lost his mind? Who does he think he is? He must have lost the last of his brains on the way there." The man said that the power and authority of the assessors was disproportionate to some worthless characteristic of a minion. If the guy doesn't get out of there immediately, don't blame him for the bruises on his face that his father will have to see. Before the man could say anything, he found himself lying on the floor. After what happened, the guy immediately suggested getting closer to the point of his proposal. As soon as the boy entered the meeting room, he saw everyone except his father lying motionless on the floor. The man shouted to his son not to take a step closer, let him stand still. Li Tian-e told his younger brother that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. Turning to his father and the president, the boy asked what had happened between them. Li Tian-e immediately asked what was uncle's answer. The future fate of the rest of the family depended on it. The man told his son that he was tired. Please let him find a good place and choose beautiful girls. It is necessary that they serve the gentleman to the best of their ability, and let them treat him with respect for his sake. From now on, their clan would belong to him entirely. The boy said okay. Li Tian-e replied that uncle is very erudite, because he made the right decision. He promises to treat them well when he becomes the ruler. As the man suddenly asked, he was curious to know why the guy decided to do such a crazy act. The guy replied that of course everything that happens is because of them going over the heads of the weak. He wants to get rid of the eyesore. From early childhood, the guy believed that power was only needed to hurt people. Therefore, he had no desire to cultivate, even though his parents had argued a lot and insisted otherwise, until that very day. The guy asks how dare this worthless trash go out on the street without money put in his way. He yelled for them to stop. Then he asked if it was okay to bully others with magic. The boy said that it seemed to be the young master of the Lee family with absolutely no power. There's a loser who thinks he's a hero to other losers. Hitting the boy, he asked how could anyone be so stupid. Then he said that in their world, reason is power. If he didn't want to become a corpse, he'd better give up the money soon. Then he was very scared. After taking the money from him, the boys said he was richer than that orphan. They made enough money. Li Tian-e surrendered in the face of might for the first time. But even so, the bullying didn't stop. They said that next time, if he didn't bring more, they'd beat him to a pulp. The boy replied that tomorrow he would try to steal more from his father and then give it back, only let him go. Afterward, the guys said they hoped he was aware of what would happen if the promise was broken. After what happened, only one annoying thought flashed through his mind. After apologizing, the boy said that it was because of him that he had to do it. He replied that from now on they no longer knew each other. Li Tian-e was unwilling to remain a weakling like the boy that stood beside him. He yelled that he wasn't going to take any more humiliation from some assholes. From then on, his quest for unprecedented mastery began. He did it all to destroy every scumbag that stood in his way. After dealing with all of them, the guy realized that it wasn't enough. He wanted a higher level. He promised to eradicate absolutely all the powers of the world and crush his own with his foot. The guy told the president that instead the bar was already booked and now a very beautiful female student from the academy would approach them. He said fine, we should get going. He suggested we go to the pub and have a good time. Zhang Qing asked does this place belong to Su Yun? Suddenly replied has he heard of her? The Su clan controls the underworld and the black market, while the Li clan is responsible for business order. The two of them are the most powerful families in town. Eldest mistress, Su Yun, had always been very attractive and intelligent, for which she was nicknamed the femme fatale. As soon as they entered the establishment, one of the girls stumbled and fell right on top of him. Zhang Qing didn't have time to apologize before the girl immediately started yelling at him. She asked him if he hadn't been taught to watch where he was going. Why did he have to touch her in the first place? His friends started yelling that the young lady had hit him with her soccer balls. Then said he was wrong, it's just 2 ping-pong balls, there's a lot more of him. Zhang Qing asked it seems like the girl is a regular there. Does she know Gao Hao? Can she tell me where to find him? The girl asked if he was his buddy. What kind of family would the guy be from? She told me that the gentleman is now on the 3rd floor in the VIP deluxe box. If he wants, she can take him there. The lad replied that he would be sure to tell the gentleman to thank her for the clue to the path. But she and he are not friends at all, the guy is there to kill him. Hopes he doesn't retaliate against her for it. According to the girl, VIP zone for entertainment of different persons is on the 3rd floor, entrance only by reservation in advance. One assumes that with Su Yun's character, the security there is clearly decent. His friend made his way into the crowd, then shouted to the guy that Gao Hao was there, along with Cheng Yuan. They've had a fight and are fighting. Calling the girl a nasty bitch, Gao Hao shouted that she was the reason he had slapped his face in front of the young master. As punishment, make him drain all the bottles to the bottom. Let him try his best to serve masterly. The girl asked the gentleman to let her go. It was her first time, she didn't want to do it again. He replied that since one didn't want to undress, then let her drink the alcohol. He demanded to drown the rest of the whiskey. The girl replied that she really couldn't make it, her stomach hurt too much. If she continued, she would simply die. Looking inside, Zhang Qing saw too many bottles for a person, much less a girl. That amount of alcohol will actually be fatal. She won't even make it to the hospital. After hitting her, Gao Hao asked, so why isn't she dead yet? Why is she pretending to be an innocent sheep? Walking up to the girl, Zhang Qing asked why she didn't try to resist. The girl replied, does he even know who is in the room behind? It's the president of the Academy Students' Union. He is the son of one of the most powerful and major clans in the city. And she, a common pauper with no cultivation background, doesn't want to get himself in trouble as well as get him taught by pissing guys off even more. Otherwise, he'll be humiliated soon enough. Zhang Qing replied that this was why he hated people. Some of them look down on the weak, and they don't even try to resist. It is foolish to think that life will be better if you give up your own dignity and pride for a while, because there are many like her among the masses. Because of their unwillingness to rise from their knees, a terrible disaster is coming. Zhen wondered if that meant the boy had unfriended demons for real. Seeing him, Gao Hao asked what was he doing there. Wasn't he supposed to be finished off by Lu Bao? The guy said he would show her a different way to live, but don't get the wrong idea, this act is not about helping anyone. It was only for the fact that he was pestered by that bastard. Gao Hao immediately asked what the hell. The guy thought about the fact that he's at the 5th level of the foundation creation stage and belongs to the elite among the immortals of the school. Why would he be afraid of him? Gao Hao shouted at the guy that he would stop talking nonsense, he was going to kick his ass. Grabbing him by the arm, the guy said let him give back everything they took. Little by little, one step at a time. All the money, along with interest, absolutely every single thing stolen will be given back. Looking at the girl, he said that after what had happened today, she would at any rate become an abomination in the eyes of others. Seeing the 2 bodyguards protecting their master, the guy asked how dare they get in his way. They replied that senior master had ordered to destroy anyone who would harm Mr. Gao. Jin ordered him to be careful, after all, one of them was a practitioner of threshold chi development. Turning to Miss Su, the girl said that it looked like someone had decided to disciple the mess. She asked if that young master was doing something illegal. And by a stroke of fate they met in her own tavern. Su Han told the hostess that he seems to have a conflict with the son of the Gao family. Fu Wen added that he hated their clan. The man asked didn't his father warn him not to cross the Li and Su family? The girl asked if the mistress wished to intervene. His bodyguards have experience in combat. She's afraid the student can't handle them. She asked do they really think that Alchemist San is some uptight schoolboy? Zhen said that we need to find a way to avoid a collision. These practitioners can fly swords and cast spells. This skill is not even close to the foundation phase. The guy doesn't have the ability to use the soul unification technique yet. Before the guy could answer anything, Gao Hao asked why are they standing around? Let them kill that puppy. Jin asked the guy to be careful, he has a spiritual weapon on his hands. It doubles the power. As soon as the second bodyguard started to approach from behind, Chen Yuan shouted for the guy to be careful. Fu Wen asked permission from Madam to intervene, the given techniques were feared even by the deities. In addition, they also have artifacts for self-defense. Few people could handle chi stage cultivators. The girl replied that no, let them take a closer look. The sorcerer's aura changed. Zhang Qing shouted that word hall of showers. Time froze and that very space opened up in front of the guy. He began to say that victimized by the greed and emotions of the world, may the greatest with the same feelings heed his call and come to his aid. He was originally a Taoist of Wudangshan Mountain, but he met a man in Yangcheng. And what good is it if he has no equal in the world? Even so, she never looked in his direction. She liked the pathetic mortal very much. For a full 50 years by the shores of the lake, he watched them grow old, love, hate each other, and die. Then, he was finally able to distract himself from his attachment. Able to comprehend the secrets of higher beginnings, he would attain immortality. If future generations mastered his knowledge and techniques, it would become anecdotal. The guy saw that inside were the memories of Jang San, the founder of the school, who had spent his entire life trying to understand the power of yin-yang. Zhen said that the ghost had not come now, however, the teachings of the past had arisen. Guy replied that going out, the Hall of Souls calls not only to the departed masters, but to anything ever recorded in mythology. By absorbing the insight of a celestial, he will learn the highest level of mastery of these enchantments and without exaltation. The guy shouted out the superior style of Mount Wudong, the might of yin-yang. After acquiring his new celestial skills, Zhang Qing easily defeated the two powerful bodyguards of the Gao family. Su Han said one slap, a fist punch and the fight was over. Such a spell equal to 9 points of combat power. Madame said it was a unique technique from the ancient Wudong school called yin-yang tai chi. She didn't understand how he had managed to learn an incredibly complex style at such a young age. Zhen said it was a very interesting enchantment. Apparently, there are also geniuses among his descendants of the Taoist teachings. Everyone sensed a rather sinister aura. The man said he was afraid its possessor would be able to take on anyone but their mistress. Suddenly, the girl replied that she was coming from a monster named Li Tian-yi. The guy replied that quite an entertaining show, as he sees the scum has gotten stronger over the years. He barely acknowledged him. Zhang Qing asked, "Is it really little Li?" The boy replied to the old friend, "How many years, how many winters?" The mistress was surprised that they knew each other. The man replied that if the young master took his side, the Su clan would be at a disadvantage. As the guy suddenly asked, "Does he really see the Union headman in person?" Looking at his friend, Zhang Qing asked, "Are they really friends too?" Lu Ji replied that everyone knows about him as well as Jiang Yu. They are considered the greatest duo of the school. Let the guy not worry. President Li is not at all like the wacky chairwoman from the disciplinary committee. Li Tian-yi said thank you, however, enough of the empty flattery. These words and reputation are only an illusion created by the locals. Zhang Qing said that it seemed like fate had given him the great honor of meeting Su Yun, Jiang Yu, and now also a man of legend. His friends started asking for his autograph, saying he was a huge fan. The guy yelled at him to stay away from him. Lu Ji asked what had gotten into him. Although he seemed to have guessed it, he must be jealous. The guy replied that as far as he understood correctly, their excellent student was currently having a great time with Gao Hao, drinking alcohol. Their president is supposed to be, in fact, his biggest supporter. Pushing everyone aside, Su Yun shouted that he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Fu Wen asked why it seemed as if Madame was very angry with young Master Li. She replied that they had always been sworn enemies. Moreover, he had tried to win his heart several times, but had gotten a sharp turn away. The rejected Casanova went mad and decided to retaliate by pushing the landlady's 6-year-old brother off the roof. Li Tian-yi replied that the Era group of the Gao clan belongs to his clan. Naturally, they have a good relationship. He never thought that a former loser would suddenly become immortal. And he'd be the best first year. The guy replied that he didn't need to be so polite. There are many outstanding experts in the students' union, so how can he dream of getting into the first places? He said he never intended to be courteous to anyone, he just always appreciated other people's talents, and their longtime buddies. He suggested a compromise. It was guaranteed that the Gao clan would not lay a finger on him. Zhang Qing asked if he didn't agree. Li Tian-yi replied that then, he would die today. To be honest, he had wanted to do that for a long time. Lu Ji asked the old man, isn't his organization responsible for order and justice in the academy? Calling him disgusting, the guy told him to shut his mouth. His tongue is painfully long and he only talks nonsense. The boy wondered if he had never really let go of his own unbearable past. He had always had a high opinion of him until now. But he never thought that in a couple years his brain would degenerate to the level of those little Li. In the end, he lost by his own conviction. Li Tian-yi replied that I would cow moo about regression. In the ages of history, heroes in the world were respected for their strength. And now his mana was also more than the guy had, just like any other human. Those bastards had finally learned their punishment when they'd been treated the same way. Zhang Qing asked did he really enjoy playing the role of a bad guy and bullying the others. Zhen told the guy to get ready to run, he was determined to destroy. Zhang Qing replied not to panic, he still had an ace up his sleeve. He thought that perhaps Zhang had a better weapon than Tai Chi technique. Chen Yuan asked does he have the courage to stand up to Li Tian-yi without being afraid of him even a little bit? Suddenly, the guy started shouting that he was reporting to Madame Su Yun, the gray-haired brute was wreaking havoc in her territories. He talked about how if she didn't intervene, his head would be smashed on the wall. Covering her face with her hand, the girl said that she had almost forgotten that the young master was shameless and insolent. She approached him and told him not to worry, no one would dare lay a finger on him in her establishment. Lu Ji asked is it really the clan mistress herself in person? Li Tian-yi asked she was going to fight him. Su Yun replied doesn't he want her to demonstrate a couple of new techniques? He said that although their families were two sides of a coin, the water of the well had never tried to openly antagonize the flow of the river. The girl yelled that somehow the river had decided to get into the well and make a mess of it. If she touches this guy, she'll declare war on her whole family. Watching what was going on, the guy asked why for a moment the girl seemed so cool to him. Li Tian-yi realized that getting into a fight with her right there would be no gain. Gao Hao told the lord that their clan has been working for them for generations, he can't just turn his back on them. He replied that since the mistress was asking for it, of course she would give in. He looked at the boy and said that he would be very sorry, namely for disobeying his advice and beating up the elite guards of the Gao family. Experienced mercenary warriors will still get him out from under the ground. Zhang Qing shouted that let him take it then and come over. Su Han asked, did he decide to show off? Fu Wen replied that the young sorcerer originally did not have an ounce of tact and conscience, let him forget it. Li Tian-yi replied that he was sorry for him, because the guy never learned to appreciate the last chances that could save a life. Zhang Qing replied that he too, only to find that the guy had become the one he hated the most in the world. As soon as he disappeared, the guys started shouting that this was the first time they had met someone who had managed to piss off Li Tian-yi so much. Chen Yuan couldn't understand what was going on. How could this idiot be so powerful? Why is eldest mistress Su on his side? The girl asked what he would do with Gao Hao. The guy replied that it was obvious that if he owed someone, he had to pay back 100-fold. And if he owed him, 1,000-fold payment wouldn't be enough. When the first payment came due, he told Lu Bao to kill him. How will he pay him back? The guy replied that he could ask for anything. Zhang Qing said that another member of the Li family was also there, and his level was not inferior to his father's. Falling to his knees, he began to beg the guy not to kill him, please let him be spared. If he let him live, he would give him anything he asked for. Zhang Qing replied that to be honest, he didn't like killing, because it was a violation of the law. The boy repeated that killing people is not good. Promised I'd stay as far away from him as possible. I wondered how I hadn't noticed he wasn't such an asshole before. The guy said he'd have to give it back anyway. Let him tell me what's so wrong with him. What's so valuable about him and his life? He asked Brother Zhang to just listen, told him that his family had a high position, he would be useful to him. The guy replied that he'd noticed their spirit weapons were pretty good. He said that he had reached the 9th level, but hadn't gotten any decent equipment. Gao Hao replied that if he could just say which item he liked, he would bring it. Even if the price is in the millions, life is still more precious. Zhang Qing replied that he didn't need them. He said that he had heard that the Li family were artisans who wielded great spiritual weapons. They joined a family of the richest men and gave them their knowledge in exchange for their loyalty. One of them is his father. The guy's sure he loves him very much. His self-defense item is his gift? Gao Hao started yelling that it was a family heirloom. Zhang Qing replied that then, he would choose his life. Suddenly, the guy asked, didn't he say that he would get him a weapon? How can he retract what he said? Let him calm down. Murder is illegal. He held out a sword to him, which went from small to large in an instant. Su Yun said that it was a third-class weapon that could change size. Even her family doesn't have such a treasure. Jin revealed that this item was made of 1,000-year-old mysterious gold that could pierce through physical defenses. Gao Hao asked if he could leave now. The guy replied that no, the first payment had come, he should continue. He told him to get his wallet ready. Gao immediately asked how much he wanted. Zhang Qing replied that he had extorted money from him and Zi Ming before. Plus, the fee for the potion, as well as for moral and physical damages, thinks at least 8,000. Gao Hao replied that they could agree on 10. Zhang Qing replied that he had said that all debts must be repaid in thousands of times. That would be at least 10 million in cash. Su Yun said that something told her, this guy better not put his finger in his mouth. The guy tells his friend that it's a brilliant idea to make an alliance with the Su family in order to deal with them. He eclipsed both President Li and Chairman Jiang. He has a new fan among his fans. After which he asked why by the way his spiritual weapon was floating by itself. Zhang Qing replied that it was apparently because of the handle. He wondered if it could pierce through a low-level demon's defense. Jin replied that the material used to make the sword was extremely rare. To forge something like this, the help of an unclean person would not be enough. The guy said you couldn't find a stronger gun in the city. The man replied that he would try to put magic runes on him. Then he shouted absolute annihilation. Jin said that now, anything his blade touched would be destroyed. The guy didn't answer that he almost forgot that he was an alchemist. Looking at the sword, he said that the seals were truly intimidating. With enough mana, it could really cut down an entire clan in one fell swoop. The man replied that he didn't want to brag, but in this art, besides Buddha and Yunzhong to them there is no one to handle. Looking at his friend, the guy asked who he was talking to. Zhen said he was curious. The early man had taken money from the girl and now also from him. Can people who strive for perfection be stingy? The guy replied that he just doesn't fully understand yet. The new society is fixated on resources. Even medicinal herbs have to be purchased with money. Zhen asked does he really plan to spend his savings on them and elixirs? He said no, he wants to buy a luxury villa and a car. Zhen said that even though he is not human, the guy never ceases to amaze. Zhang Qing decided to explain. He had absorbed almost all the spiritual energy within a 100-mile radius, and only obtained a 9th level of development. To break through to the chi purification stage, you need more emotions and layers. The place should be a source of spiritual energy. Jin replied that it turns out he was being unfair to the guy. That huge house has a magical aura, he thought. The guy replied that yes, it is, which they are using for their own gain. He was accurately picturing how the master would be making laps around the school on a shaken wheelbarrow, holding Chen Ning by the hip. Looking at him, the boy asked why he was suddenly silent. The man replied that he hid his brilliant mind behind cynicism. However, let him look at his hands, they are very much treasured. As it turned out, it was exactly 12 o'clock on June 6th. If he remembers correctly, it is on this day that a brutal battle will break out, where a clan of demons will cross the border of the empire and plunge the world into apocalypse. Dongluan border. The guy asked the foreman, are the legendary monsters really that dangerous? The man replied that he had never seen them. He asked thinking, is that a good thing? Could a patrol consist of 3 people? Are the elite of the academy unable to handle a pathetic race? All of a sudden, the guy yelled monster. The man asked what he said. Because of the wind, nothing could be heard. Suddenly, he was abruptly gone. A huge and sinister monster appeared in front of them. Attempting to confront him, the petty officer was also killed. As it turned out, there were a huge number of them. With myself watching, the guy realized he couldn't make it. Realized he had to run. Slipping, he fell straight into the snow. The entire sentinel squad was killed, for there were 12 monsters. Raising their hands to the sky, they began to shout for the gods of perfect formation to appear. Suddenly, the entire sentinel squad began to rise to their feet. They all turned into monsters. Once near the border town of Shounen province, one of the monsters ordered to kill everyone and turn unclean. Let the barren demon warlocks keep the human females alive and continue their offspring. People were trying to escape, because monsters had entered their town. They started attacking everyone. Suddenly, a huge number of fighters appeared over the city. They were striking with their weapons. Everyone immediately prepared to attack. The goal was to destroy all the monsters in the city. General Hu Wei shouted for them to dodge, for the monster was now using its spell. Observing everything going on around him, the general recognized that the border had been completely breached. One of the monsters shouted to the leader of the commoners that they would wipe them all out. Hu Wei shouted out the forbidden technique of the 5 great elements. Let this beast not dare to underestimate people. The monster did manage to grab the man. He asked if the man wanted to say his last words before he died. Hu Wei replied that he was the sacred emperor of the Eastern Dragon Empire, vowing to take revenge by exterminating their entire clan. Were those the man's last words? Suddenly, the monster's body began to change abruptly. In a moment, it took on a human form. He ordered the captives to be given to the warriors as a reward. They would need the men for breeding. Let it be remembered, the race of swine who seek immortality at any cost are very restless. They must not be allowed to cultivate. Dongfang Ji said that last night their border was attacked by demons. Unfortunately, everyone was killed. Next people started saying it was impossible. The province near the snowy ridge is guarded by Hu Wei's brother. The man said that he was the Grand Master of the 5th step of the nascent soul. She said they could ask the girl about it. Her name is Jian Saer and she is the president of the Student Council of the Cultivation Academy. The girl is the only survivor. Turning to her, they told her not to be afraid, let her tell what happened there. She started screaming that there were no survivors. Their tribe were monsters, they'd never win. It wasn't a war, it was a massacre. Everyone wondered if there was really nothing left of those lands. The girl answered that yes, warriors and innocents, even children were not spared. But the young girls with magic were taken captive. The pure-blooded monsters can't reproduce themselves, so they keep them as sows. Dongfang said let everyone watch, these are her thoughts from the past. Suddenly, one of the men asked then how she managed to survive. The girl said that Qi Lu, the sect leader, made the women take turns entertaining him. He promised to let go of the one that would give him the highest pleasure. The man began to shout, did she really do such a low deed? The girl replied that she had, that's why she was there. However, in her womb was a child of a spawn, I think they call them half-demons. Everyone immediately started screaming that she was unscrupulous, how dare she come back? As suddenly, the girl immediately grabbed the sword from one of the guards, and stabbed it right into her stomach. Turning to the Empress, she said she asked only one thing. Each of her memories, let her take them and find a worthy use for them. Dongfang replied that if one applied the art from the soul to retrieve the memory, her shell would dissipate. The girl replied that it was too late, they should take action. The Empress didn't immediately understand what she was talking about. The girl replied that she had heard the head of the unclean say that they were descended from werewolf cultivators who were indistinguishable from humans. They mixed with their race decades ago, now in almost every corner of the world. Did she mean to say that there might be demons among them? The girl answered that yes, one had already infiltrated, they seemed to be looking for something. Dongfang, what is surely the emperor's sacred artifact, the Xian Yuan sword. Jian Xiong revealed that a few days ago, her inner Hongdong was supposed to change, the time had come. Dongfang realized that now the capital of the great empire family was safe, but this was the fatherland's last attempt to defend itself. People realized that if Xian Yuan fell to the Wu clan, they would be finished. She realized that they wanted to eradicate humanity with their power. The girl replied that death doesn't scare her. She is afraid that people won't know about the founder of the Wu clan, that no one would hear the stories of how people fought to their last breath to defend their empire. She wondered, what if no one appreciated their dedication? In her empire, no cultivator had ever chickened out. As soon as the girl finished speaking, her breathless body fell to the floor. One of those present said that he remembered the Empress's uncle, one of the 9 oldest Qianlong pavilion. He seems to be living in seclusion and searching for the very sword. Sister Shuizhan is one of the few people who managed to survive the clash with the Wu clan. Severe injuries, she's still strong, and she's trustworthy. The girl said we'd have to go to her for help then. Waking up, the guy yelled secret technique, invisible eye. Everything in his room flew into the air. Zhen shouted, could it be that after 3 fights yesterday, he would finally break through the level? The man ordered him to restrain his momentum or he would destroy everything there. Glancing at his watch, the guy thought about the fact that without the artifacts, mana would quietly leave the body. Zhen shouted that this was the reality of training. Zhang Qing broke through to the Qi practice period. He shouted that during the Qi training period, one level of combat power included a value that rose from 9 to 15. Just as the guy got to the right place, a new alert came on his phone. It revealed that last night, the province's border was attacked by the Wu clan. He realized that the story was unfolding just like in his memories from his past life. In as little as a month, the demons would attack the Palace of Perfection. As suddenly, from one office the guy heard someone talking about yesterday's battle, which was incredible. It was Lu Ji. He said that the people from the ancient martial arts club were pathetic insects compared to Zhang Qing. One of the guys yelled out that usually those flowers look down on them. This time their friend really got pissed off. The girl asked, aren't their students rich? She thinks that while there is such an opportunity, they should counterattack. Suddenly, one of the guys asked, what the hell? How could a fool like their friend beat them? The girl asked him what was he jealous of? She had seen what had happened on the playground yesterday. The guy replied that he had a level 3 combat power. Why would he be jealous of the deputy headman? How could he compare to him? Placing his hand on Lu Ji's shoulder, he began to say that in this world, only strength was respected and valued. Do poor kids who don't even have the money to pay the fee win over geniuses? Dreams, that's all, don't even let him think about it. Zhang Qing realized that the friend was mainly supported by the humanities students. He, on the other hand, gets all the support. The politics of immortality has never divided anyone into classes, but people have subconsciously divided themselves into worthy and unworthy. In the future, when he is a ruler, he will definitely get rid of class segregation. Entering the office, the guy asked what the argument was about. Had they all really been talking about him? Calling him a dumbass, the guy said it was about time. Those liberal arts students took him to the skies. Then said that's why, can he fight him? Zhang Qing replied that yesterday was apparently not enough. Calling them pathetic losers, the guy asked exactly if they could handle him. He realized that it was not worth showing his true strength, it was better to use the primordial chaos. The guy realized that it would be enough to suppress the combat power to 9. Looking at him with admiration, the girl didn't expect him to suppress immortal disciples with a single impulse. Lu Ji said to the guy to keep it up, we'll try to intimidate him, let him be prepared for the consequences. The boy was the only one who disagreed with him then, wasn't he? Frightened, he replied that his mother had always taught him to respect the strong. Zhang Qing asked his friend if this guy had ever been so flattering before. He replied that he seemed to be a suck-up at heart. Just as suddenly, they saw a guy running and shouting that the list on the school forum had just been updated. Zhang Qing was ranked 50th on the immortal list. Looking into his phone, the guy realized that his actual combat power was 15, the gap was still large. He has started to be followed, and the student union and Li Tian won't let go so easily. He needs a bigger force to deal with this. Suddenly, the guy asked his friend to escort him to Madame Shuizhan's office. He is going to apply for the immortal faculty. Shuizhan asked brother who sacrificed himself because of this. It's all demons after all. Everyone praises the Empress of the Eastern Empire so much, so why is she afraid of those things? Outside, everyone was already talking about how the famous primordials were going to change faculties. Shuizhan didn't understand what was the noise outside. Opening the door with his foot, the boy said hello and told the teacher that he wanted to transfer to the faculty of immortals. Looking at him, the teacher asked if he was the freshman everyone was talking about. She couldn't sense any mana fluctuations from him. She was curious since according to the immortal rankings, his power was only level 9. The teacher said that the registration fee is 100,000 yuan, and the exams are taken every 6 months. If one does not pass, the fee is not refundable. Putting the money on her desk, the guy replied that it was no problem. Seeing the large amount of money, the teacher replied that he had prepared himself. Zhang Qing replied that it was right, it was for the two of them. The friend was surprised. He asked if the guy was going to pay for his tuition. Zhang Qing replied that he was constantly looking at other students, drooling with envy, thinking, didn't a friend notice? It was too late to refuse anyway, and they were practically brothers to each other. Crying, the boy replied that he didn't even know how to thank him. Clinging to the guy's leg, he said he would give him his body if he wanted it. Watching what was going on, I said that if they were done, they should leave. Shuezhan said that since he was now on the list, he should come to the meeting in 3 days. The guy asked which one. The teacher replied that this is a temporary event organized by the 3rd year. It would be in the format of a duel. Seems like a lot of people are waiting for him to show up. See if he's as good as they say he is. She thought that thanks to this meeting, she now knew the genius who had become so famous at the academy. Looking at her, the boy asked if she was waiting too. The teacher replied that she didn't have time for such trivial matters. However, the students who did well would get something from the treasury. He wouldn't miss an opportunity like this, would he? Looking at him, the teacher thought, is this child really a genius? Entering the office, Jiang Yu asked her sister-in-law what was the crowd outside. Li Tianyi replied that he heard, the first-year rookie had decided to apply for a transfer. Shuezhan replied that she had said, after all, in the academy, a girl should call her teacher. She asked did the student union and disciplinary committee representatives come to discuss the upcoming meeting. Li Tian replied that it will be held in 3 days, and the star freshman has attracted a lot of attention. By the way, his council members would also be there. Jiang Yu replied that he seemed like a mature guy, but he was talking nonsense, so he should leave. Pointing a finger at him, the girl said that when the time comes, let him get in the ring with her. She wants a member of the disciplinary committee to beat him. Zhen shouted that this is simply unthinkable, they are definitely accepting this challenge. The guys immediately began discussing that the student union and the disciplinary committee had simultaneously declared war on the newcomer. Lu Ji told the guy to forget about them, after all, they are at the top of the list, only a fool would challenge them. The teacher replied that all students attend the meeting voluntarily. If he doesn't want to, no one will force him. Zhang Qing replied that as the teacher said, Chairman Li and President Jian are enthusiastic. So how can he disappoint them? Seniors must not let their subordinates down. So let them try not to lose at least in the first few minutes. The guy's gonna do his best. Hopefully, they won't lose face in the eyes of their subordinates. Otherwise, it would be terrible. He realized that before the demons attacked the academy, he would fight against masters of different ranks. It was a great opportunity to improve his base and persevere. Pointing her finger at the big man, the girl shouted that he would represent the disciplinary committee. The man replied that the president should not worry, he would not lose. Li Tianyi told the guy that he would be the labor representative of the council, if he accidentally killed him, no big deal. The guy said not to worry. He, the deputy representative, would deal with him in a heartbeat. The girl asked if he even knew what the student council and disciplinary committee were. The weakest has a combat strength score of 15. She told Ning that her boyfriend is crazy, please let her please change his mind. Moving closer to him, the girl said that since the gauntlet had been thrown, we should fight back. The guy replied that he thought she would scold him. Ning replied that she couldn't change his decision. The girl asked him not to give in to them, let him show the true strength of a rookie king. Zhang Qing replied that she would see it with her own eyes. Zhen told the guy that he has been sitting there alone for a long time, why doesn't he go home? The guy replied that most of his opponents are stronger than the master. With chi energy, he will be able to release mana and use it to attack. He is stronger in close combat, this ability can be useless. Zhen asked if the guy wanted, would he practice a spell with him? Zhang Qing replied that he had 3 more days to learn at least a few basic ones. The man replied that time was short, it would take at least a week to learn and successfully use even the simplest of spells. The guy replied that it didn't matter. He must have guessed that Zhang Qing had experienced reincarnation, even though it is a little different from the usual. Jin asked the guy is sure of that. He replied that the memories of his past life held the experience of learning countless spells under his careful guidance. If he practiced, he would master at least some amount of them. Jin replied that time was running out, so it was time to get started. After practicing hard, the guy still succeeded. The effect was short-lived. Jin asked the guy what was mocking him. Taking to the air once more, the boy asked, wondering if he was looking down on him. Just when he thought he had finally succeeded, he immediately collapsed to the ground with great speed. Jin asked how long it took the guy to master the technique in his past life. Zhang replied that it was about 3 to 5 months. The man replied that he had had countless students throughout his life, but his case was something with something. He asked the guy to go home. Enough for today, better let him sleep for the remaining 2 days. Even that would do more good. As soon as the teacher turned away from him, the guy immediately began to try out the fire technique again, the raging flame technique. The man realized that accuracy was suffering, but this time the flames definitely held on a second longer. Zhen Yuan told him that was enough. Let him listen, the essence of the art of fire is quite different. Lying on the ground, the guy said he had 3 more hours, the meeting would start soon. The teacher replied that he knew he was a smart kid, but he didn't expect such persistence. He told the teacher that if he happened to win, he would invite Chen Ning to meet the sunrise on the beach with him. Zhang Qing said that he had never wanted to capture good moments so badly. But there are moments that are worth a lifetime. Then the guy stood up and told the teacher it was time to go out with them. Together they'll definitely make it. Sitting in their seats, the guys discussed that there would definitely be something to see. Looks like one of the guys is definitely going to take a break. They saw that the Great Devil was there too. The teacher said that the strongest of the first class, Wang Tao, challenged Ma Tian of the second class. Ma Tian won. Wang Tao realized that he had lost to Zhang Qing before and fell for this trick again. Shuizhan said that Ma Tian had won 6 fights in a row. Does the kid really want to transfer? Showing everyone the middle finger, the guy yelled for the newbies to remember the lesson he had taught them today. The guys were discussing about whether any of the freshmen would dare to come out. Didn't he mention Zhang Qing earlier? The girl was indignant because he was unwilling to listen to her before, and today he didn't even show up. Chen Ning asked if the 2 of them had tried their best to dissuade him. Chen Yuan asked why would he come. The opponent has 15 combat power. The guy is unlikely to be able to handle it. Looking at her, the girl said she had just called him by his first name. She remembered only calling him dumbass before. Li Tianyi said that Zhang Qing is the same as when he was a kid. Is he still running away? Jiang Yu said it's strange that anyone is interested in him at all. Turns out he's a real asshole. Suddenly, one of the guys yelled for everyone to look up. There they saw the newcomer. Zhang Qing shouted that he would get a 10 today. A friend shouted that they should not look down on the freshman. The guys were happy that he had really come. Everyone immediately started shouting at him that he was the king of the pledges. Jiang Yu asked what kind of nonsense is this? What the hell is it anyway? The teacher said that since he can fly in the wind, it means that this guy has already started learning qi. Everyone realized that his combat power score had reached 15. Why was everyone around him talking about 9 then? The guys started yelling that let the pathetic freshmen learn what it means to disrespect their elders. After bowing, Zhang Qing said that he represented all the freshmen. The guy is challenging the old men. Ma Tian asked does he really think that with the same combat power index, he would be able to fight him? Without thinking long, the guy replied that he could easily win in just 3 strikes. Ma Tian shouted that he would make an exception today because the difference in combat power between the seniors and juniors was too great. Chen Yuan said that Zhang Qing had made the guy really angry. He immediately launched a powerful attack. It's his signature spell of rushing water. Since the freshmen decided to take a swing at them, let them dream. With his first strike of the secret technique, the guy was able to repel his blow. Ma Tian was surprised, for he had smashed his attack with his bare hands. Teacher said that's right, the guy is using Tai Chi. Jiang Yu asked if that was possible. She talked about their academy being unique, so why was he identified as an ordinary student? The second strike was the force of the wind. Ma Tian used the water technique, breaking the current. Thanks to his superior skills, the guy easily overcomes the second attack as well. Watching what was happening, the guy couldn't understand how this happened. Zhang Qing said that it was time for the third and final strike. After making the attack, the guy flew towards the grandstand where the others were sitting. The elders sat silently, for they realized that they had been defeated by a first-year novice. With a slight exhale, the girl said he was fine. Their friends started yelling loudly that she told them he would win. The guy was able to beat the toughest sophomore. Chen Yuan was surprised. This guy was able to defeat Ma Tian with only 3 techniques. Li Tianyi said there's definitely something wrong with this guy. Thinks he's equivalent to a student with a fighting power of 30. Turning to her sister-in-law, the girl asked her if she had seen it too, right? Shuizhan replied that the manatee guy was stronger than them combined. Any techniques performed by him would be several times more effective than theirs. Jiang Yu practiced the mind method of the Qianggong city sect. There should be no mana purer than her in the world at all. Zhen, that force cultivated by chaos, is the disorderly source of all magic. Could its reflective power be the same as normal spells? Shuizhan said that since no one else from the sophomores dared to challenge, the next fight would be with a third-year representative. Turning to Jang San, Jiang Yu asked the guy to teach him a good lesson. The teacher replied that there was already a first challenger, the guy could abstain or accept the challenge. Looking at the guy, Zhang San of the disciplinary committee members asked, is he the one Zhang Qing? The guy replied that no, he is not Zhang Qing, let them just call him daddy. Teacher asked Zhang Qing's disciple to please answer, does he accept his challenge? Chen Yuan asked Chen Ning to persuade her boyfriend to give up. They say Zhang San has a terrible temper. The girl started shouting to him that he had already defeated Ma Tian, that was enough. The guy had already avenged all the freshmen. The guys started shouting, why doesn't someone else from the disciplinary committee fight? Let him refuse, there's no point in this fight. Zhang Qing replied that they are all right, but the guy accepts the challenge. He's there to gain experience. Is it possible to retreat now? All the guys saw that he was really getting into the fight. They thought it was better to close their eyes, no point in watching him get beaten up. Chen Ning shouted out his name. Chen Yuan asked what was that idiot thinking. Li Tian told his ward that it seemed like the problem had solved itself. The guy replied that with Zhang San's temper, the boy would either die or be crippled. The teacher thought that if that day, he was that mysterious genius on the playground, perhaps the outcome of the battle wasn't so obvious. Zhang San said that the guy was more interesting than he thought. If it wasn't for the president's order, they could have become friends. Zhang Qing replied that they all look alike, so confident even though they are nothing special. Without thinking long, the boy decided to strike first. He sprinted and began to approach his enemy. Without realizing it himself, his strike trajectory suddenly changed. Zhang Qing struck straight into the ground. The guy realized that he wasn't even dodging, so why couldn't he hit him? Zhang San said that he has excellent strength and speed. It's a pity it's all useless against him. Staring at him intently, the boy thought that if not by brute force, then by magic. In his next attack, Zhang Qing decided to use the wind blade, a wind art. Directing his stream of energy towards the man, the guy saw that he had just walked right past him. Zhang San lowered his gaze to the ground. People asked why they only came there. The guy asked what kind of strange force, just like that, changed the trajectory of his wind blade strike so easily. The man replied that his power was 15. But the strength of the wind blade technique was comparable to 30, it wasn't bad. Zhang Qing realized that the technique he was using was causing the wind mana to move around his body in a special trajectory. The man replied that to a point, it is a newly developed wind pearl protecting the wearer. He can ignore absolutely all attacks, so in the committee, people respectfully call him the indestructible Zhang San. Jiang Yu said that in 2 attacks, they have already seen the greatness of his defense, but the first Gotka still doesn't plan to give up. The teacher realized that the boy would definitely lose, but he was talented, let him ask his brother to be merciful and not nail him inadvertently. The girl replied that they would talk about it after he got on his knees and begged for mercy. Zhang San said that the guy is really good, if he apologizes to the president now, he will not only refuse the fight, but also recommend him to the disciplinary committee. The guys were surprised because Jang San himself wants to be his mentor. They shouted for him to join the disciplinary committee. All the students became highly placed officials of the academy or the Immortal Crime Bureau. A guy can become rich, right? Ning said that's great, and if the parents find out. Did the guy ask the disciplinary committee? He apologizes wildly, but he's not interested in student fun. The man was angry, for those who disrespect the committee must pay for it in blood. Looking at him, the guy realized he had a raging flame in one hand and a wind gust in the other. He thought that's it, the harmony of fire and air. The third year used 2 spells at the same time. It was a legendary skill of controlling 2 elements. The girl said that this attack would be extremely violent. The teacher realized that the man was a genius, possessing the magical abilities of fire and wind at the same time. The guy said he apparently wants to kill himself. Looks like his involvement is no longer required. Li Tian-yi said 5 elements and 4 elements, life and death hold each other back, while wind makes fire. When the wind and flames are released at the same time, their power is multiplied several times. Jang San shouted for Zhang Qing to repent or die. The guys shouted for him to surrender or he would die. After the hardest blow, Ning cried and said that she couldn't feel his breath. Is he really dead? Li Tian-yi asked, seriously dead? It seemed that the person who dared to challenge him should be able to amuse them for longer. Jiang Yu asked why didn't Auntie do anything? She had the opportunity to stop him, right? She shouted at Jang San that he was only asked to teach a lesson, not kill him. Suddenly, Shuizhan said that the girl is wrong, he is not dead. Impossible, it's simply impossible, it's the emperor. Zhen told that in ancient times, Empress Nuwa combined the magical power of demons, the body of witches and the spirit of fairies to create humans. Hence, man is the spawn of heaven and earth, he carries all things in himself. The true mystery of chaos is the true law of the human race, it is the force that carries all the laws of the world. If it harmonizes perfectly with the truth of chaos, a true chaos body will emerge from that. The guys couldn't figure out what was wrong. Why did the guy's hair color change? Zhang San said his harmonious fire and wind, dispelled by an unknown force. The boy answered that most of all, he was proud of his ability to possess 2 elements at the same time. But how can he do that? Now the guy has all 9. Jiang Yu shouted that other than the emperor's cousin, there was only one person in the world controlling any kind of mana. The teacher replied that was correct, the true chaos body that the emperor had yet to master. However, the technique has always only belonged to the ruling family, so where did the guy get to learn it? Zhang Qing said the union of wind and flame, he is not alone like this. Moreover, spells cast in this form are much stronger than ordinary ones. Zhang San ordered his pearl to protect him, for there were attacks coming from all sides. Once behind him, Zhang Qing easily smashed his pearl. Pointing less in the man's direction, the guy told him to surrender or die. Watching what was happening, the teacher thought it was him. The man who had been on the playground that day, an incomparable genius, perfectly matching the true chaos that could inherit the power of the next generation of emperors. Zhang San said that he was giving up, Zhang Qing won. The guys were surprised that the freshman Snow defeated a member of the disciplinary committee. Ning couldn't understand when he had time to become so strong. Lu Ji, that man lost, so the boss will raise his rank in the immortal ranking. The first-year man has made it to the top 20. Looking at the president, Zhang San apologized and said that he was useless. The girl replied that he may not blame himself, they underestimated him, everyone can both win and fail. Li Tian told Chao Lan that guy is participating in the next fight, let everyone see how huge the gulf between the disciplinary committee and them is. Suddenly, the guy's body trembled, he fell on his knee. Zhang Qing said that it took much more strength than expected. Zhen said that after the last battle, his mana had obviously increased. A little more, and he would reach a combat strength of 20. Shuizhan walked over to the guy and said that his strength was running out, continuing to fight would no longer work. She thinks it's better to stop there. This guy's true chaos body is still immature, his limit is 3 minutes. He asked the teacher wants the guy to surrender. Shuizhan said that the last challenger Chao Lan, his combat power reaches 50 units. A swordsman whose skills surpassed Zhang San's ability, even if one put their best effort, it would not be possible to tear up the victory. The guy did his best, so there's no shame in turning down the next fight. The committee will still accept him as the most talented and give him the best resources. He replied that he had promised 3 days ago that he would no longer run and hide. Anyone who got in his way, be it God or Buddha, would trample anyone. There was no other way, because it was his way. Smiling, she replied that there was a price to pay for being young and frivolous. Shuizhan said that he decided to continue. The last member, the 10th on the immortal list, Chao Lan. The boys were happy that the pledge king would continue to fight. His opponent is the vice president of the student union. Covering her face with her hands, the girl called him crazy. She said this guy is definitely not at home. Ning said that it was rumored that Chao Lan had once accidentally gotten hold of the remnants of the Xushang school's imperial swordsmanship. Hearing this, the guys asked, are these the ones living in seclusion outside the magic mountain? Can such a monster even be defeated? Li Tianyi said that it seemed he would not get the chance to straighten out this guy, did not expect him to be so reckless. Addressing the president, the guy said that after the first-year student was killed, he promised to protect him. The ascending sword shine, the flying immortal royal sword. What was expected from the vice president of the student union? Chao Lan told the guy that in the competition, every opponent is an enemy. Let him not hold a grudge that he might be too cruel to the junior. Zhang Qing replied that he didn't expect anything less from Li Tian's younger brother, even this dignified appearance, they were very similar. The guy said that he didn't seem to know their students well. But don't worry, after this battle, all misunderstandings will disappear. Thanks to his reaction, Zhang Qing pulled out his sword in time and stopped Chao Lan's weapon. The guy thought that fortunately, Xian Jin's sword had been improved, and its quality was much higher than Chao Lan's sword. He realized that otherwise, the consequences would be dire. Jang San said that this was the first Yujianshu style using a sword. It was with that weapon that he pierced through the defense of his pearl. The girl replied that the blade Sila alone is comparable to the strength of Shushan school students. His mana is running low. How does he plan to win? Chao Lan asked, and then what? Raising his hand, the guy said that he had a question for the vice president. Though he tries to hide it, the bloodlust and the energy of his ball won't fool others. Does the guy really want to kill him? Chao Lan replied that such questions, does it make sense for a dead man? The guy replied that of course it does. After all, in that case, he might not hesitate to go all out and finish him off first. Rising high into the air, Chao Lan shouted that now the games were over. Watching what was happening, Jiang Yu said that this technique kills everyone within 1,000 miles, the blade's chi energy was not inferior to the power of his style. Li Tian said that the finale was obvious. Chao Lan shouted that his limit is 1 sword. And if there are 3, how does he plan to deal with them? As soon as the guy touched Zhen, the man ordered him to get ready and put his best foot forward. Looking at him, Chao Lan said he didn't expect it, so that meant the guy was hiding a trump card up his sleeve. However, powerful spells have a long rollback period, so you can't use them all the time. He shouted that this time, he would watch the guy fend off all the attacks. Zhang Qing replied that the supernatural powers of the ancestor of the earth immortals were not just some trump card. The 8 trigrams, the 7 stars, the 5 elements, the 4 elements, yin and yang, all this Taoist knowledge to which he devoted his life. Turn all this knowledge into a unique magic circle. Confront your quest to change your life with the sky and then the whole world will turn upside down. Swinging his sword, the guy easily cut through Chao Lan's attack. The teacher noticed that the ball's brilliance was completely suppressed. The aura of that magic circle, even she is unable to understand it. Chao Lan asked how could this be? His techniques, arts, even his combat power is more than 3 times that of a guy. Zhang Qing replied that the star atlas was enough to reverse all 5 elements, yin and yang. The spells that go into it will gradually break down. And now, it's his turn. With rage-filled eyes, Chao Lan shouted to Zhang Qing that he would finish him off, tearing him to pieces. With his true Dharma body, the source of heaven and earth, it would be possible to make any magic circle move with the caster. From such a technique, Buddhas and immortal gods, and even the sacred altar will fall. Suddenly, fear abruptly appeared in his eyes. Chao Lan shouted for the guy to stay away from him. Zhang Qing asked himself to gather himself, to squeeze out the last ray of mana from his body. he must win. Li Tian shouted that now, as long as he was in the air, he couldn't dodge, let him use the ball energy and finish him off. The guy shouted a sword shine, let it unleash its power and ascend into the heavens. There was a huge explosion in the air. Everyone froze, waiting to see what would happen next. The boy shouted that there was plenty of time to get close enough. He would be close by when he prepared the next blade art attack. Zhang Qing said that there was little ancient strength left. Zhen replied that with his cultivation base, the distance that could be shortened was very limited, but it would be enough. Once the guy was as close to Chao Lan as possible, he pierced him through his heart with his sword. His breathless body fell to the ground. All the guys realized that Zhang Qing had killed Chao Lan. Chen Yuan asked, "Is he crazy?" Right in front of everyone. She didn't understand how things had gotten this way. Zhang Qing said that since his rebirth, this was the first time he had failed to suppress the urge to kill within himself. No hesitation or guilt, so peaceful at heart. The boy asked the master, he should be qualified now, shouldn't he? Calling him a bastard and a creature, Li Tian asked how dare he do that. Li Tian shouted that he was ordering the student union to kill him for him. The boys replied to the president that they cared about their lives, they joined for the sake of prosperity, if they died, the union would end. Calling them a pile of garbage, he figured that if he didn't finish him off today, the student union would lose all its greatness. But if he does it with his own hands, the agreement with the Li and Su families will be broken. Approaching Principal Shui, he began to say that that brat had killed a student, and she was just watching. The girl said he killed her. So what? People die all the time, there's nothing you can do about it. Jiang Yu intervened and said that he wanted to kill the freshman. Everyone present witnessed it. According to heavenly laws, this is justified self-defense. Turning to the gentleman, he asked the man also felt that way, that the members of the student union deserved to die. The man replied that in this matter, Director Shui had the final say, and he, as the heir to the Li family, shouldn't be too bloodthirsty. The guy asked, so is the director asking him to turn a blind eye to this? He replied that although there were many cultivating forces in Tianchuan City, but under the influence of the Li and Su family, the well water would never spoil the river water. However, he had heard that the guy had lured and afterward joined the Gao family and others under threats, making the Li clan incredibly strong. Li Tianyi replied that the man is so lenient, except that, does the rule prohibit the annexation of core families? The man replied that not at all, but his students were the elite of the great aristocratic clans, and as a teacher he hoped that the key forces would strive to keep the balance. Directors say he shouldn't take any action, because the fight between the strongest groups should stop. In this miserable school, students are forever bullying and setting up the weak, isn't that a good thing? The man asked what he meant by that. The days of being bullied were horrible, they were like hell, something he would never want to go through again. For him, it is 1,000, even 10,000 times more frightening than the disturbance of the balance of power. The guy doesn't care about his situation. He just wants to trample everyone in his path, make everyone shake with fear and submit. And no one can stop him. The man replied that there is no right or wrong decision there, since he wishes to do so, he will no longer give him advice. Turning to her aunt, the girl asked, is this the cliched villain from the novels? Should she really kill him? Li Tian replied that so-and-so would save the face of the two teachers today and let the guy go, but he would also ask them not to instruct him in the future. The principal asked if there were any more people who wanted to fight. If not, then as the principal states, by winning the battle with the high school students, Zhang Qing becomes the champion. Furthermore, after defeating Chao Lan, according to the rules, the honor of being the 10th on the immortal list would pass to him. This is the only person in their school's history to make the top 10 as a freshman. At this point a new hero was born. He asked all the students to stand up, for they would all be witnessing a historic moment together. The guy thought being the center of attention was what it felt like. The moment he had dreamed of in a past life turned out to be this. Zhen said that just in the past battle, the guy seemed to have made a breakthrough. He replied that back in the first battle, his chi control skill seemed to have increased a lot. The guy didn't expect to challenge Chao Lan and be able to leap to the third stage of control. His combat power reached 30. Absorbing the obsession of the audience, one of the 9 pillars of the Hall of Souls, once again almost filled, it already senses the unknown ancient god wishing to respond to its call. Jin replied that this kind of aura is fearful, it is not a god or soul, rather a demonic spirit. The headmaster thought, the unrivaled genius that was on the playground was definitely him. Perhaps he would be able to inherit the Qianlong Pavilion. The man said it was time to combine the award for the champion. First, a magical artifact from their treasury, the winner can choose any as a reward. Secondly, the guy got a letter of recommendation from him and Director Shui personally. Let him choose what he wants to do in Tianchuan. The third reward, however, is related to the secret of their school. They'll let him know later. Hugging him, the girl said great, with the principal's recommendation, nothing more to worry about, his parents will be proud of him when they find out. When the headmistress came up to them, she said that they'd had enough of being cute. Let the boy follow her to the treasury as soon as possible. Jiang Yu said that he is really special, so he is worthy to be her first love rival. Suddenly, she told Chen Ning that yesterday she had been given a dose of saline under the 4, and today, she wanted to get a dose of it. The girl immediately asked her to talk about something else. Zhang Qing replied that it was quite decent behavior for a senior. They went inside the huge treasury. Looking around, the boy said how many out-of-print books there were. Lots of magical weapons, all shining so bright, he's afraid he's going to go blind. Looking around, he asked really can he choose anything? The principal replied that she wanted to ask him something first. He replied that let her ask, for the sake of the treasure, the student would tell her anything. She started saying that a week ago, who was that John Doe on the playground? Zhang Qing replied that he was afraid, he did not know what teacher Shui was talking about. The girl replied that what a pity, if such a talent had been there, he could have collected a couple more treasures from there. The guy said it wasn't money, it was dignity. Then he said he'd raise it to 3. Shuizhan asked so is he confessing? The guy replied that only if the teacher keeps it a secret, a genius like him should be very discreet. She can't believe that this guy who doesn't have a penny to his name is worthy of inheriting her position as the master of Qianlong Pavilion. His main concern right now was to increase his combat power as soon as possible, and the best option would be to take a high-level panacea. Zhen said that the Dongxian pill is the greatest elixir of the 3rd grade, he can accelerate his cultivation for 30 years ahead. The guy replied that the selection there is much larger than the Sujiadan pharmacy, he thinks they can find them. All this, centuries-old treasures. There's even an ancient arterial herb. The guy said he could easily get what he needed now. However, what should he choose as his final prize? Suddenly, he shouted that it couldn't be, it was there. It wasn't a spirit stone, probably the remains of a saint. He told the teacher that he was choosing it. Shuizhan replied that with the help of other people, he could do alchemy, it made sense, but this relic. The fellow replied that after death, the body of a saint turns to ashes and is kept as by relation for future generations, but she lies idle. The principal asked if he wanted to know why. She picked up these remnants in the ruins, after having to take them there for safekeeping, couldn't have them lying in the dust somewhere. If he didn't want to lose them, he'd better give them back right away. The boy immediately asked what about the 3rd award. The headmaster replied that unfortunately, she is connected to one secret of the academy, will tell him everything when the time comes. It just so happened that this treasure also came from there. He immediately asked her if she was going to retract her words, right? Last time he got his ashes in that place, is this it? Zhen said that such a relic is a simple piece of jewelry, why would he need it? Zhang Qing replied that the bodies of ordinary saints are indeed useless, but who does he think the ashes belong to? The man asked the guy thinks his name will scare him. He replied that it was a supreme Buddhist being as famous as himself, Shakyamuni Tathagata Buddha. Zhen asked what the hell did the snot-nosed Tathagata own him for? What could he possibly need his ashes for? The guy said that in the Hall of Souls, such things are used as sacrifices, and then the chance of summoning a spirit is much higher. In his previous life, it took him 10 years in a battle with a witch to find the relic of the Tathagata. Zhen asked means he wants to use the ashes to summon his master? The guy replied that yes, but it was too early. He needs to prepare for it to be successful. Li Tianyi told Gao Hao that that guy had dishonored him. Doesn't he want revenge? He said no, why would he? If Chao Lan was killed, what could he do? The man replied that his family is much better than that guy's family, and besides, it's only one person. Gao Hao replied that the first-year-old is now the most valuable talent of the academy. If the head of the family is asked to kill him, the principal will not leave it like this. Li Tian replied that then let them use the people from the academy. The guy shouted that he was the 10th on the immortal list. Besides him and Jiangyu, who else could kill him? The man replied that just let him do as he is told. When his reputation is ruined he will die and won't even get a funeral. The president of the Guwu Club, 3rd on the list of immortals, Ho Chengwu. Turning to the guy, Chen Ning asked what treasure he had chosen. The boy replied that it was a stone. Looking at the drifting car next to him, the guy said that whoever was driving it was definitely a master, since he was driving it so easily. Su Yun told the guy that they had not seen each other for a long time, then asked will help her with one calf. He immediately asked what he could serve her with. The girl replied how much she loved to hear that. Leaving his hand on his face, she said that the little master had given her a panacea which had proved very effective. Her father was grateful for the help, personally rewarding him with a banquet. She said it's her birthday in a week and her father wants to have a party where he's going to gather all of Su's family, so he's coming, right? Zhang Qing replied that since it was her birthday, he would definitely be there. The girl said that they would see each other in a week. Chen Ning asked this girl from the Su family, how do they know each other? He replied that he had previously brought his brother takeout food, so that's how they met. She said he met a powerful family by delivering food, and now he's invited to a birthday party? Does the guy think she's stupid? After which she said let her forget it, if she doesn't want to talk, she won't pry, it's time for them to go home. He immediately started saying he was so hungry, he was wondering what mom had cooked. Glancing at her hand, the girl realized that he was getting farther and farther away, so far away that she could no longer hold his hand. And she'd forgotten to tell him she'd gone to level 9, she thought it wasn't worth talking about yet. Zhen said that if he wasn't mistaken, the girl had enrolled in Xianka since the beginning of her studies, and it had only been 2 months after all. To get to that length of time to level 9 by practicing just the basic exercises, even the word genius won't be enough there. These brother and sister are like a mystery that even he can't solve. Zhang Qing said that the campus was so fresh in the morning. As soon as the girls saw him, they all immediately started running towards him. Lu Ji said that she spent so much effort to choose a gift, doesn't she want to personally congratulate him? Zheng Ning asked since when did he have so many beauties around him. The guys realized that it looked like the girl was jealous. As soon as he started to run after the girl, Zhen said that people's hearts are unpredictable. Just a few days ago, he was a scum who was shunned, and now he suddenly became an idol. The boy replied that it had always been like that, let him get used to it. The man immediately asked how nice it was to be a hero, wasn't it? Zhang Qing replied that it was not the time to relax, there were 20 days left before the Wu clan attacked, we need to get rid of all the disturbances as soon as possible. Faced with immortal witches, even the slightest misstep can lead to a sad end. The man asked then who was the next target. The guy replied that Ho Chengwu, the 3rd on the immortal list, with 9th level control, if he faced him at the current stage, he would surely lose. The main thing now was to refine the Dongxian pill to increase combat power, and summon a second heroic soul. The spirit material is pretty solid and his mom is too weak, so it's going to take a decent amount of time. 2 days and 2 nights without any breaks. Entering the office, the boy apologized to the principal. Looking at him, she asked him if he had come to get an assignment. Ho Chengwu replied that his conditions are the same regardless of points and bonuses, as long as the reward remains high. She said it was a level A assignment. For criminals kidnapped the son of a high-ranking official and used him to escape. And also reminds him, the risk of dying on a mission exists even for him, let him not forget that life is more important than money. Thanking her for her concern, the guy replied that he was taking the order. The director said that this was the 4th mission of this level in the last year. She wondered, what was the point of risking one's life like that for? Ho Chengwu replied that those born into poor families don't have this choice if one wants to survive on the path of cultivation. One more thing, a few days ago, their club was trashed by Zhang Qing. The guy replied that he knew, watching from the auditorium. Shuezhan said that no matter how powerful the freshman was, he was not his opponent. Let her do her a favor, don't touch him. Leaving, Ho Chengwu replied let the principal not worry, Lu Bao and Wang Tao had humiliated themselves. The man said let the boy remind him what they were talking about. He said if he tried to run away, he'd lose his fingers. Watching them, he realized that the opponents were strong, 2 on the same level as him, the rest just below. The guy realized that a hostage could get hurt. First we need to distract them, separate them and kill them. They immediately asked what the hell? Is it an earthquake? Suddenly, one of them shouted that it was time to get out of there. He realized their tree techs. They're from the Immortal Criminal Bureau. The guys were yelling that it was the art of concealment. The man couldn't feel his breath, couldn't tell the number of people. As soon as he wanted to say he would use the skill of intelligence, he was immediately killed. One of them saw the direction of the attack, but upon reaching the spot, realized that the enemy had immediately moved. The guy yelled to the boss that this forest was sucking out their mana. We need to hurry up. The man decided he was gonna take a hostage and force that thing out. Calling him an idiot, his partner shouted that he should stay behind the trees, not out in the open. Before he could get to the right place, he was already killed. The man said it looked like the elite of the Immortal Bureau. He shouted that his defense had no flaws. I should have shown up by now. The target was captured, Ho Cheng-woo, and decided to use a double shot. Moments later, the third of their team was destroyed. His defenses didn't work at all. Looking around, he said that now the leader of his and a power of 90 units, trying to escape. Suddenly, he saw the man walking away in the direction of the hostage. He took a swing and said he was going to get even with him. Covering himself with his hands, the guy asked him to stop because he wasn't running away. Asked him not to get killed. As it turned out, Ho Cheng-woo had covered that boy with his body. The man clicked that he was crazy to risk his life for others. The guy realized that if he failed now, he wouldn't see his 5 million. The man saw that the blow was right in the chest. He was standing on sheer willpower. Shouting Immortal Criminal Bureau, the man said he was just a monster. Ho Cheng-woo replied what kind of immortal is he? Just a student of Tianchuan Academy. The boy thanked the uncle for saving him and said he would ask his father to pay him in full. The boy asked if he could increase the reward. The man said that, as you might expect, the president is indeed terribly powerful. Gao Hao appeared in front of the boy's eyes. Clapping his hands, he said that his respect, no one could compare to him. Ho Cheng-woo asked does young Master Gao also want to offer a task. Gao Hao immediately said that he would help him kill someone. The guy immediately asked what was the price and what was the name. He said 10 million, Zhang Qing. As soon as he agreed on the name, he was immediately rejected. Ho Cheng-woo had already given his word that he would not touch him. Martial practitioners should not break promises. Gao Hao said that he could set any price he wanted. In this world it was worth agreeing to favorable deals. The boy replied that he didn't have what he needed. Showing the pill, he replied that if he couldn't give it, someone else could. In recent years, the martial arts club has been desperately raising money. All for a life-extending elixir, right? Gao Hope's chairman Li was telling the truth, otherwise this guy would only take 3 seconds to finish him off. Ho Cheng-woo replied that there were only 5 people in Tianchuan who could obtain this item. Does Li Tianyi really want to deal with that guy? If Zhang Qing dies, no matter whether there is evidence or not, all suspicion will fall on him. According to the rules, it's a felony. Gao Hao replied that no, to begin with, the first year's reputation would fall to rock bottom, he would become a sinner, reviled by the entire academy. You'll just have to be open and honest with teachers and students, and punish the villain. The man said he didn't expect his son to be so lucky. The woman added that she was always worried about his future after graduation. Looking at his parents, the boy asked them not to say such depressing words. The boy looked at his parents and asked them not to say such depressing words. My father replied that it was a beautiful day, so we should celebrate. In order to regain strength, we need to drink a lot. Looking at her brother, the girl asked when did he have time to become so powerful? The boy thought how good it was that he had prepared himself. Zhang Qing began to say that quite by chance, he had managed to get some tips from an expert, and then he had taught him some techniques. After that, Su's family hired him as an alchemist. His parents began to say that it was the most honorable and rare profession among immortals in the entire country. Looking at him, the girl asked did he really cover it up? So that's what it meant. Zhen said that was to be expected, half-truths half-lies. The boy said that it was his family, so don't let him be reproached for anything. Smiling, the father said that their son had become an alchemist. Looks like little Ning will have to rely on her little brother in the future. Zhang Qing said that apropos of this, one of the rewards was a handwritten copy of the law and improvement. The knowledge from the book is much better than the academy can give. Looking at her brother, the girl asked if he had prepared this especially for her. The boy answered that he had. The woman said that ever since he was a child, he loved his sister the most. Watching them support each other made her heart happy. Zhen asked so the request to give a collection of countless Taoist knowledge, was it for the sake of his sister? The guy answered that it was exactly that. The man said that the manuscripts also belonged to his good friend, the first immortal to the historical world, Dao Jun Hongyun. The guy asked means surely she would like to see Hongyun's style? Zhen replied that guy may not try, she was killed by the witch clan. At that moment, did the guy realize that time, at the time of the draft, it was about her? Zhen asked the guy to promise him one thing. No matter what, he must defeat the Wu clan. Protecting the human race was also her goal. Zhang Qing had a strange dream. Zhen shouted, how could it be like this? She is the first immortal who could create such a thing. The girl replied that she is fighting against the demon emperor, she has been captured by 12 ancient witches, she doesn't think she will survive. Is it really for people who have nothing to do with her? She replied that the Hall of Souls alone was not enough to protect the human race, then asked him to do something for her. Before her soul leaves the world of the living, have her body taken and sealed in a blade capable of destroying a witch. The saint's powerful purple chi would make him the strongest and deadliest tool in the world. Is Zhen asking him to kill him with his own hands? The girl replied that he was a true brother to her, this was a matter she could only trust him with. Zhen promised. The man promised that after her death, he would make great wishes. He would reincarnate into people from generation to generation, following the master of the Hall of Souls. He knew that the master of the hall could see some of the memories through dreams. Abruptly waking up, the guy asked, is this an earthquake? As they suddenly realized that it was coming from Chen Ning's room. Running inside, the guy asked what happened. She replied that art, feeling as if she had entered into a symbiosis with him. Before she knew it, the girl had broken through to the next stage of Qi training. Zhen said that he had finally found Hongyun's sister. Chen Yuan asked young Master Gao and President Ho wanted something. Gao Hao replied that they would need help to deal with Zhang Qing. Getting as close to the girl as possible, he ordered her to do something. Gao Hao asked her, she doesn't need to be taught how to seduce a man, right? As for the payment, she thinks 200,000 is a good price. The girl needs money, so let her sell her body. In exchange, she can become Xianka's apprentice and change her life completely. Turning her face to the side, the girl apologized and said she refused. Grabbing her face, Hao Gao said that he didn't understand what she said. Chen Yuan replied that she was sorry. Striking her, the guy yelled that he was giving her one last chance. Let her try to say that again. She shouted that she wouldn't do anything. She wanted to be like Zhang Qing. Grabbing the girl by the hair, he said that last time she said she was still a virgin. Said he was going to see if that was true. I decided to see if the guy would come to the rescue. Suddenly the door opened and the principal asked what was going on. The guy replied to Director Xue that it was nothing, it was just that the girl had fallen, he only wanted to help her up. Xue Zhan told the girl that if she was being bullied, let her speak up, she would provide support. The girl replied that she was fine. Gao Hao said that was the end of it, he would go. The principal asked him to stay a while. As soon as he turned around, Principal Xue slapped his face with all her might. As soon as the guy looked up at her, she said that he was now free. She thought he was worthy of inheriting her seat, but it seems the principal was mistaken. Ho Qingwu replied that he had his own reasons. Lowering her eyes to the floor, the girl thanked Principal Xue. In the meantime, she replied that it was fine, she could go. Looking out the window, thought that all this trash, in the future the Dunluan kingdom would be full of them, monsters from the witch clan. The guys began to say afterward that he should not be so angry, let him find someone else, it was not a problem. Gao Hao asked him if he had any options. The guy said that there is a schoolgirl who looks very attractive, to lure a guy who has not seen life will be easy. Gao Hao said she was so innocent, Where did he find her? The guy said innocent. She'll do anything for money. Zhang Qing said that going to a new level in one night made her jealous. Zhen replied that he simply lacked the skills. He thought that if Chen Ning really is the reincarnation of Hong Yun, then, where is the witch-killing sword now? No sooner had the guy entered his horde than suddenly someone shouted that the king of the firstborn was already there. They said that with his presence, Gao Hao would no longer dare to be arrogant. Watching from the sidelines, he thought he could enjoy the moment while he could. Lu Ji told his friend that with such popularity, recognition from beauties can't be avoided. The guy replied, "No, there's no such thing as a hottie." Entering the office, the girl apologized. She asked Zhang Qing is there. As it turned out, it was Sun Qian from the Foreign Languages Department. A friend told the guy that she just fell out of the sky for him. Raising his hand, the guy said it was him, then asked did she want something. The girl starts saying he was insanely cool back then at the competition. She likes him, so she asks him out. Running away, the girl shouted that she would be waiting for an answer after school, and that she should definitely come. One of the boys thought how nice, when will it be his turn? Looking at his friend, the guy asked if he already wanted to run away. Zhang Qing replied that maybe he could open his mouth somewhere in the temple. Lu Ji asked which temple. The guy replied that if he was serious, what's the best way to say no to her? Zhen immediately asked what kind of temples. Why hadn't he heard anything about them before? The friend shouted for him to not even think of rejecting the confession. He has been with Chen Ning for so long and no progress. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Lu Ji said that his brother should take his advice and go to her. His friends can help him one day and the girl will always support him. Zhen said that there was some truth in what he said, but the feeling was bad. Zhen said to the guy, what a mess, already got a confession, what to do? He told me that he had never fallen in love, but one day he decided to follow a goddess and failed. The guy asked him if he'd been rejected. Zhen said that she asked if he was sick, and if he was, she advised him to take medicine. Let the guy just imagine, she was so concerned about his personal well-being. Suddenly, they heard a woman screaming about what he was doing. The girl was begging to be let go. Zhang Qing said it looked like something had happened. Zhen decided to use his mana. He said that the girl was 300 meters to the right, with 4 auras around her, each with a combat power of about 5 to 7 units. The girl cried and asked them to please stop. Her boyfriend Zhang Qing would not let them get away with this. The man replied that their president Ho Cheng-Wu had already returned. No sooner had he agreed than he was kicked in the face. The guy saw his friend lying motionless on the ground. He decided to strike first, but Zhang Qing's strength is much greater. Suddenly, both sides and his arms were chained. He realized that his strength was slowly draining away. Were the weapons pulling Manu out? One of the guys shouted that the soul-binding lock could block the meridians throughout the body. Soon its power would run out. They didn't expect that Zhang Qing himself defeated Lu Bao would fall into their hands. Buying a spiritual weapon was worth the money. Suddenly, a sword began to hover directly above the guy. A moment later it easily cut through the chains binding his hands. The guy shouted that he just tore them up. High-end artifacts are worth hundreds of millions of yuan, how dare this poor guy? Suddenly, they realized they couldn't move at all. Grabbing both sides of the chain, the guy pulled them to him and the two of them collided. As soon as they began to fall to the ground, he delivered a final blow. After the powerful attack, both of them flew away in different directions. Zhen said that if he controlled the air so freely, then his taiji had reached the highest level. Changing spells is slow from abilities being too low. But the Hall of Soul's ability to apply a spell makes up for it. Taking off his shirt, he put it on the girl and apologized for coming so late. Suddenly, she's all over the guy and says no, it's about time. And then she said the guy was falling for it. Suddenly, Gao Hao and the rest of the elders appeared beside them. He said that Zhang Qing was an animal in human form and asked what he had done to the girl. The man said that Gao Hao had provided information that someone at their school was harassing girls. He did not expect that this scumbag would turn out to be a newly minted hero. Zhang Qing watched silently. Sun Qian naively cried and said how good it was that they had come. If they had been a little more late, she doesn't know what that guy would have done to her. The president told the ward that Director Zhao and Shui are there, let them vividly say everything clearly and to the point. The guys began to tell that they were walking through the woods and noticed the first goth harassing a girl. Trying to help, he did his best to eliminate the witnesses. Looking at them, Zhang Qing asked what were they up to. Calling him an idiot, the girl asked did he think he really liked her. If Mr. Gao hadn't ponied up a lot of money, she wouldn't have even dared to look in his direction. Passing by him, Gao Hao called him a bloody lunatic and said that this time, he would definitely die.